So the House today censured Rep. Al Green for wiggling his cane and screaming at Donald Trump. And they were supposed to bring him to the well so that they could actually issue the censure. But Democrats instead obstructed the proceeding and started singing and ignoring Mike Johnson banging the gavel, calling for order in the House over and over again. And then Johnson gave up and ordered a recess and they left. The video is absolutely unhinged. This is the craziest Congress of my life, perhaps the craziest Congress since that one where the other guy caned the other guy. I don't know. But it's absolutely nuts to see the Democratic Party with Donald Trump's speech earlier this week, the most obstructions of any speech, refusing to clap for a 13-year-old who survived brain cancer. And now when the House says Al Green, who had to be thrown out for screaming in the middle of Trump's speech, they all back him. They all defend him. And they once again obstruct an official proceeding. Oh, boy. I wonder if the DOJ is going to charge them with anything. Really doubt it. We got a couple of other funny stories for you. How about they've begun walking out CIA agents and taking their badges in a Doge-inspired reduction of force. And the best story of the day probably is that as a Doge-led effort, apparently, I think it's Doge-led, to sell federal buildings, accidentally exposed the location of CIA black sites operating in Northern Virginia, which a lot of people responded by saying the CIA is not supposed to be operating in the U.S. What's going on and why do they have secret facilities?
What's up, guys?
So when they posted the real estate listings, they immediately took a bunch down, reposted it, and then took all of them down because they realized, oh, wait, some of these the public aren't supposed to know about. So we'll talk about that. We'll get started first with the Democrats being as cringe as they could possibly be. But before we do, my friends, check out AmericanFinancing.net. The average person today is feeling the financial strain more than ever. Expenses are up, wages aren't keeping pace, and many people are finding it nearly impossible to make ends meet. With little left over after covering the basics, it's no surprise that many are resorting to credit cards just to get by, often carrying high balances and interest rates in the 20s or even 30s. If you're a homeowner and you're stuck in this cycle of mounting debt, you need to check out American Financing. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are saving homeowners an average of $800 a month, helping people put their hard-earned money back where it belongs. Plus, if you act now, you might even be able to skip your next mortgage payment. There are no upfront fees. It costs you nothing to find out how much you could save each month. It's time to break free from the stress of debt. Call American Financing today. Take control of your financial future. Call 866-890-7811. That's 866-890-7811. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Tim. Also, don't forget, go to castbrew.com. We got coffee. Ian's Graphene Dream, now back in limited stock. Only 600 bags remain. That means Ian sold nearly 200 bags already, and it's been one day. The more he sells, the more we say that, and the more people rush to try and buy it, the more we sell. It's an endless cycle, but you're all putting Ian through college. You know he needs it. Check out Appalachian Nights as well. It's really good. And, of course, always go to rumble.com/TimCastIRL if you aren't already, and become a premium member to watch the Green Room behind-the-scenes show. It's ramping up, baby. We got a bunch of fun content. Today was pretty great. That Green Room episode will be up in an hour or so, and that was a lot of fun. We were talking about TikTok bans and how the system works and how it is very censorious. My friends, don't forget to also smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know if you really do like it. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is the older millennial.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're the only one, the only older millennial.
I'm the only one that matters.
That's right. So who are you? What do you do?
So I started out as a TikTok creator after, COVID shut down the corporate world. I was my MBA is in strategy. I used to help companies with trade agreements or how to grow new businesses and things like that. COVID brought that all to an end, and I gave TikTok a run. Ended up being a lot more successful than I expected to be, and it has continued to grow as I continue to get in trouble. I think, my success is directly correlated to how much I upset people, and especially how much I upset TikTok, as I'm now on account 62.
Wow.
But it seems to work real well. People resonate with the way I communicate with them, and it's just been a ton of fun. I mean, I never expected to be a 41-year-old guy who yells at people online.
There you go. Made a living out of it, huh?
Yeah, it's worked out pretty well.
Well, thanks for hanging out. Should be fun. We got Chuck hanging out.
Hey, guys, back again. I'm Charlie. I'm the host of the Green Room Show, where we just hang out, talk about uncensored, unfiltered, kind of the stuff you can't really say online these days. if you want to become a member and see that real talk, behind the scenes stuff, become a member on Rumble Premium and check out the good stuff.
Promo code TIM10 on Rumble Premium.
I am Phil That Remains. Phil Blanty. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains, anti-communist and counter-revolutionary. Let's go.
Here we go from the Wall Street Journal. House censures Rep. Al Green as Democrats face fallout from Trump protests. I love that. The fallout's only getting worse. It has now been several days. I watched this video, and I was torn between anger and joy. It was a strange emotion, as it felt as though fire and ice themselves were concentrated within me, because the Democrats singing songs as they were trying to censure Al Green for screaming at Donald Trump. I'm just thinking to myself, these people are insane. They need to be expelled from Congress. They should not be tolerated. Republicans have the majority. Start expelling these people. But then I went, breathe, Tim. They're singing and dancing, and obstruction of Congress means we're going to win the midterms, and they're going to expel themselves. So I'd like to show for you the moment at which Al Green was censured, and instead of the actual censure process, this is what happened.
By its adoption of House Resolution 189, the House has resolved that Representative Al Green be censured, that Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and that Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker.
Can we turn that up somehow? It's like, it's hard to hear the singing.
I think we all benefit from not hearing them sing.
So, okay, I'm going to pause real quick. For those that are just listening, not watching, there is a large gaggle of Democrats all singing in the well. They're supposed to be issuing the censure of Al Green because Al Green stood up during Trump's State of the Union, not so State of the Union, and was wiggling his cane and screaming. And he was doing that because he wanted a campaign video to get reelected, not because it actually mattered. Nobody could hear what he was saying. And now Democrats are doing this very same thing again for the exact same reason.
I mean,
he's going to, here you go.
The House had come to order. The House had come to order.
Yeah, that's not going to work, Speaker. Order. No, that's not going to work. These people are psychotic.
Just like an old white dude that cut the music off.
That's right. Here we go.
The House had come to order. Clear the well, please. Clear the well. The House has to continue its business.
That didn't work.
Nope. And they cut the audio for a second. And then my favorite part of this is the Republicans give up. Here you go. Listen.
Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the House will stand in recess subject to the call of the chair.
That actually pissed me off the most. Democrats are insane. I get it. But what pissed me off the most was that the Republicans just walked off.
I mean,
Mike Johnson should have said, I'm calling on the sergeant at arms to physically remove these people from the well so that we can finish this hearing. And if not, we will have them criminally charged for obstruction of an official proceeding.
I mean, I don't hate that idea either, but I mean, it's not like he's not going to be censured. Like, this is still going to go into the congressional record, and
censure is meaningless.
But no, well, I mean, it doesn't have any.
What are they're going to censure all them too now?
I mean, the point is, you can't, like, they can't impeach for every kind of, small infraction.
They're obstructing an official proceeding. They should be arrested.
Yeah, but I think
about for Al Green, he's the one that was getting censured. You can't.
Al Green is also obstructing an official proceeding because he started the song.
Yeah, he started the
song.
Oh,
did he?
Yeah,
lock
he started
him up.
the song. He was
Lock
there
him up.
holding it up and everything.
But I think they benefit if you individually walk them out. I think they get the clickbait, they get the pictures, they get the video they want. And I mean, I'm not in favor of the Republicans giving up at all. But it's one of those of like, we're going to make you sit here until we're able to conclude this proceeding, like that, because it is important to do.
I think I used to think things like that, like, oh, we don't want to give them the press. At this point, Democrats have become so unhinged. I think that we're dealing with a critical mass of Democrats keep doing insane things. When you get Colbert, Stephen Colbert, on his show, holding up a sign, say, try doing something, making fun of Democrats for how they reacted to Trump's speech, there's no benefit for these people for anything they're doing. So maximize it. Walk them out. get their photos, and then when it comes to the midterms, you can say, these are criminals who committed crimes. They don't do their job. Don't vote for them. If you had a picture of Rashida Tlaib and Al Green in cuffs being walked out, come the midterms, they're going to say, is this who you're going to vote for? Representatives who refuse to do their job, obstruct Congress, and instead use it as an activist pit to preach and fundraise?
But do you worry that if you were to cuff them, because I mean, honestly, like they need to be let out, but if you were to cuff them and do that, do you worry that leans into the authoritarian narrative they try to create around Trump?
No, when Donald Trump says they were very fine people on both sides, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, and then the media lies anyway.
They cut off the
Or
internet.
how about a story we have for you guys where Donald Trump called out millions in spending for transgender mice, and Jimmy Kimmel, bald-faced lie on his show saying it's transgenic mice. It's transgenic. Oops, he read the wrong thing. Jimmy Kimmel is blatantly and intentionally lying. CNN initially called Trump's claim false and then had to retract that because they literally did this. And Trump wasn't the first person to point it out. It's been reported by a bunch of outlets. They are intentionally lying. So this whole Trump's a fascist, authoritarian, I literally don't care at this point. We're not going to, there's no more narrative anymore. You had Alan Lichtman. You know who he is? Mm-hmm. He's the keys to the White House guy. He got it wrong. He said Kamala was going to win. He's been having a mental breakdown ever since, and that is not an exaggeration. You watch the videos, the dude's sweating bullets and shaking. He probably cries himself to sleep, confused at the world. He put out a video today saying Trump voters are regretting their vote. Trump's latest poll has him down 44% to 51%, the worst of any president. And then you pull up the aggregate polling, and Trump's up.
Oh, yeah.
He's up on everything.
He's up big.
So Alan Lichtman, these people know they're wrong. They know they're lying. And regular people voted for Donald Trump. The Trump regret is not statistically significant. Trump is up in aggregate 1.1 on RCP, and he's down 0.3. So both are statistically tied. And the liberals and the left are going to keep lying to everyone no matter what. So how about we start setting the narrative? How about we say you are hereby obstructing an official proceeding pursuant to, U.S. code, whatever they use against the J6ers. I'm ordering the Sergeant at Arms to place you all under arrest unless you leave right now. They don't leave. This is your second warning. You will all be placed under arrest for obstruction of a proceeding. They don't leave. Sergeant at Arms, I hereby call upon you to summon the Capitol Police and have these people arrested. Let them all be walked out. Let them all go to their district where they can wiggle their little butts and be like, look, I got arrested for a protest. And then we can set the narrative and say, we elect members of Congress to pass legislation, not sing mother songs in Congress and obstruct the proceeding. So let's change the game.
I see where you're coming from on that, because you're right. They're going to make the narrative that regardless of what they do. So at least, I mean, look, I would have gotten a certain satisfaction of watching them walk out cuffed. I'll be honest. I would have. I can tell you right now, I would have got content out of it. So
Indeed,
it would have been fun to make.
I think that's what should have happened. I
mean, I don't have a problem with throwing Congress people in jail. It would have given them something to take back to the base. I don't think that there are. I'm not sure. Maybe there are enough people where it might matter. But I, continuously say the Democrats are in disarray right now. They don't know if they want to be obstructionists or if they want to try to actually legislate or participate in legislation. And I think we're going to get more of this kind of stuff until they actually get that hammered out. So it's going to be just obstruct, just do things that are, performative and stuff, which is not particularly different from the way they were behaving last time Donald Trump was in office. But considering the fact that they don't have the majority in either the House or the Senate, now they don't have the ability to do things like write up articles of impeachment again and have them pass.
If the Republicans remain passive and keep just bowing out, then I fear we lose the midterms.
I don't think that. I think that it's we're the underdog shot of winning the midterms as it is. It'll take some serious. I think it'll take serious deregulation because it'll take the economy doing really, really well. And
well, the stories you guys saw the story from earlier, the $375 billion slush fund that Podesta set up.
Yeah,
a nonprofit was set up, and 1 month later was awarded $7 billion. So the EPA has since frozen this money, and there's criminal investigations. We got another story for you coming up in a bit. They're considering criminal charges for USAID staff and the recipients.
Really?
So I think when it comes to the midterms, gutting the resources the bureaucratic machine uses that's funneled to these establishment politicians, Republicans included, is going to dramatically change how elections work in this country. Because a lot of these members of Congress in 2 years are going to find they have no money for their campaigns. And the primaries are going to be very, very interesting.
That's a good point. I never really thought about how USID and those nonprofits really impact the campaigning for those individual parties. So it's
it's circuitous, but some of it is true. The theory is that it's larger than we see, and that USAID gives money to a nonprofit, who then disperses that money to various nonprofits, who then donate to Democrats. Largely Democrats, some Republicans.
So what you could get when we roll up on the midterms, if we continue to cut the funding, is you're basically getting the circus without the money. You're getting the circus without the funding behind it to actually have any effect. Which, again, I mean, I'm all for that, but my worry is that, because I don't believe in the Trump regret people, just because I don't see it, and I see people, I see liberals telling me that Trump voters regret it. I don't see Trump voters regretting it, but I think that the liberals benefit from looking the craziest because they get to play we can only act crazy under this type of government because they don't let us act like we're supposed to.
I think things are changing. I think it's embarrassing to be a Democrat now. And that's why one of the reasons I think Trump won and why he won a popular vote and a mandate every swing state. I think it's because people are looking at Democrats singing songs and it's just like, yo, I don't want to be a part of this. Let's jump to this next story. I'll give you a real example. Ladies and gentlemen from the Post-Millennial, House Democrat women make cringe choose your fighter video. Yeah. So I have to watch it, so you have to watch it too. All right. So choose your fighter. Not to mention, it says choose your character, not fighter. For those that are just listening, I don't think any of these women, except for AOC, have ever played a video game in their life. And AOC only because she tried pandering to young people to pretend like she knew how to play video games. But to be fair, she probably plays Candy Crush. So it is a bunch of Democrat women with a remix of the Smash Brothers Choose Your Character song. And they're doing this thing where the video starts with them falling down. And then, you know, if you want to do like a fighting stance for a martial art, you can't. I mean, they clearly have no idea what they're doing, and it's just as cringe as it could possibly be. There's little stats. AOC plus New York's 14th congressional district plus youngest woman plus Latina to back to the House negative Trekkie. Then I got to refresh it because X
Is that
always
nerds?
does that.
They don't approve of it.
They don't like
Well,
Trekkies.
AOC outright says it's a negative that she's a Trekkie. Sue Lee Jessica Wu, bento box queen, mommy of the century, negative, sleep deprived. You know, they've been putting out these videos like that really cringe one 22 senators put out where they were like, ish, that ain't right. And they're like yelling about Trump. They must have hired the worst social media marketing company for the DNC ever. And they're like, I got an idea. Act like you're video game fighters, and then we'll play Smash Brothers theme, and then you'll bounce up and down. And it's like the weirdest thing is the women who've never played video games before doing like booty bumping, thinking they're like doing some kind of like martial arts dance. I saw this and I just said, Democrats are trying as hard as possible to create a single party supermajority for the GOP.
Well, the thing is, this was a trend on TikTok about 18 months ago. And that's the thing is, like, I look at their whoever they're hiring to do social media is because like social media is just, it's trend. You follow the trend, you hit on what people are talking about, you can progress. But there are trends that would have worked for this, but to see this from a social media creator aspect and go, this is from 18 months ago. This is not going to resonate with anyone.
To be fair, did they put this video out 18 months ago and we're only just finding it now, or did they just put it out? Because
I assume they just put it out.
I can tell you right now, this was just put out because there's absolutely no way in hell this could have been out there, and I on TikTok wouldn't have found it.
Agreed. And libs of TikTok. Like, libs would have posted this the moment it dropped, which is probably why it dropped right now.
But, yeah, I mean, look, they're struggling to find any kind of purchase at all. They have no cohesive message because inside the Democrat Party, they don't know what to do. They don't know what the Democrat Party is. They're fighting between the progressives and the quote unquote normal liberal Democrats. And until they get that squared away, it's going to be this kind of stuff.
It's like a beehive with no queen. You know what I mean? Like
pretty much.
The cult members have no direction anymore. And I think largely, if we want to get outside of like the semantic debate or the insults or whatever, it is largely culty in that they just march in lockstep with each other. But there used to be leadership. Now the leadership has largely quit. And it's not so much the leadership were people who are actual Democrats who are telling them what to do. It was prominent, influential individuals in the party offering up direction and strategy. And now we can see that these prominent billionaires who were big Democrat donors have all quit. Who, like Bill Ackman, is that his name, right? Am I getting his name wrong?
The CEO guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then obviously Elon Musk.
Yep.
Donald Trump was a Democrat a while ago, but we go back 15, 20 years for that one. The point is, all of the prominent leadership and resources have been slowly pulled away from the Democrats. And the more that happens, the more unhinged they become. To the point where in the past year, we see many of the top prominent CEOs and billionaires that were funding the Democratic Party are gone. So what's left? Literally, it's a hive of bees with no queen, and the bees are just spinning around, and sooner or later.
Yeah, and I love that analogy because it really is, because if you're going to be a member of the Democratic Party or you're going to be on the liberal left these days, there's so many things that you have to agree with and so many things you have to be a part of. Right, you have to believe in transgender stuff. You have to believe in going against Trump. You have to believe in supporting Ukraine. You have to believe in so many different things that unless somebody's telling you what to support this week, they lose track.
And you can't support anything.
Yeah,
Trump
exactly.
supports.
And that's the wonderful thing is because on the conservative side, we can be one thing and disagree on another and still be together. On the liberal side, a great example is Angela Bellicamino on X.
Yeah. Yep.
She's the bold lib.
Yep.
I don't think she's actually a liberal.
No. I was on her show the other week, and she's phenomenal. But she is liberal-minded, but she's like Anna Kasparian liberal.
Yeah,
where
but
it's,
so is Elon.
I agree. But that's the thing is that you can't – she only disagreed with like a little thing of like maybe you shouldn't transition children, at 9 years old. Everybody went after her.
Apparently, Anna Kasparian said something like, I don't blame you for who you voted for. What choice did you have? And the liberals are losing their minds over it. It's a cult, you guys. Like, when you have more and more, I'll just pause, okay? Let's step outside of the first-person perspective of Tim Cast IRL and like my view of that's what the Democrats are. Let's just go outside the country. You've walked into America for the first time. You're an alien. You've landed here. You've studied the language. You're in disguise. And you don't know anything about what's going on in politics right now. You see one political party falling apart, refusing to cheer for normal things, booing normal things, and another party is growing, winning, and people from that side are slowly going over there. You simply would conclude this is what is socially popular. That's it. Now, for me, I'm like, they're cultists and they're insane and they're driving people away, right? I can say it like that. Then they make videos like this and I'm just like, keep doing it.
But a wonderful example is Gavin Newsom.
Yep.
Gavin Newsom simply created a podcast. The first guest he had on, Charlie Kirk gets him to say, I don't think it's fair that, that they're competing with young girls. And that one thing, all the top X creators are going at Newsom's throat. Because he just disagreed.
He's getting annihilated.
For the last 10 years, he's done everything you wanted him to do. He's followed every liberal talking point. He's done everything. And he just says, okay, maybe the 6'4" chick shouldn't be spiking on the 5'1". And now he's public enemy number one.
There's no room for dissent.
None.
They treat everything as if it's like a religion. So if you step out of line at all, you become the heretic, and so they call you all the worst names. You're a Nazi, etc. I haven't seen anyone call Newsom a Nazi, but if he stands firm on this position, it's only a matter of time. Yeah. It's literally only a matter of time.
I believe Newsom's strategy is to try and moderate.
Yeah.
And you can't just dive in. So if Newsom came out right now and said, transing the kids is bad, we shouldn't have men and women sports, closing the border is a good thing, illegal immigration is a bad thing, instantly they're like, you're a fascist.
Yep.
So if he starts with, no, I'm a Democrat. Well, you make a good point, but I still think this. And then every day he can increment, he's going to try and moderate the Democratic Party because he wants to win the presidency.
I get that. Maybe Charlie Kirk was a bad person to bring for your start. Like maybe bring a more moderate person.
No, I think Charlie Kirk is the right person in that it shows that he's willing to talk to the right, and the left has been completely unwilling to do that. Now, I'm not saying that I want Newsom to be successful, but for his ends, for the goal that he's after, talking to someone like Charlie Kirk is the perfect person. He moderates on, and he's moderated on stuff that is absolutely the 80-20 stuff, right? So you hear people talk about 80-20 positions that Donald Trump takes. Most people, I don't care what you read online, I don't care what you hear on X or on TikTok, most people don't believe that men can become women or women can become men, and most people don't think it's fair to have young boys competing against young girls in sports at high school age, and when you have young men just going through puberty and stuff, or college age when they've just gone through puberty. It's absolutely unfair. It's the most obvious thing in the world. Only the most dedicated ideologues support it, and so your average person is like, no, this is wrong. That's why Gavin Newsom said it's obvious. It wasn't even that it's, this is, maybe it's not, he didn't really him and haw about it. It was like, no, it's unfair. He said deeply unfair, I believe was the quote.
Yeah.
And it's like that is an obvious position to 80% of Americans. It's not something that's controversial.
I mean, even in California shifted rightward in the last election.
Oh yeah. But
Every
I mean, what was
county
it?
did.
Every county in America did.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody is shifting, right?
89% of the counties.
Well, 89% of the counties have shifted that way. And it shows, that's why it cracks me up when they go, oh, it's not a mandate. Because they're going from the starting point of 50-50. It's like, no, it's a mandate, because when you go and you look at what happened in 2020 and then you compare the numbers to 2024, that shift across the country, like that momentum can't just be stopped.
Yep.
Republicans do a great job of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, so they could find a way to stop it, but I don't want them to.
We have this clip that Gavin Newsom posted, and I'm surprised he did. But in another sense, I'm not so surprised. I think Gavin Newsom wants to run for president in 2028. He's aware the Democratic Party has become psychotic, and he's trying to moderate. So he sat down with Charlie Kirk. Here's the clip, and he talks about the book bans, and Charlie does a fantastic job in addressing these issues.
How about the book ban stuff? On a serious note, 4,240 books or titles, libraries and schools were banned in 2023. Is that not, as a conservative?
Well, it depends. I mean, I think we can both agree pornography should not be taught to 9-year-olds.
Fair point.
Okay,
Fair.
so that's a book ban.
All right. Well, there were some other books.
No.
Bill O'Reilly's
that
book
was the
banned.
Moms for Liberty contention. Time out.
Yeah.
Like, I agree on Bill O'Reilly. The Moms for Liberty movement
others.
that you made a big thing of was just no porn to 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
We agree. So those books should be banned.
Well, okay.
So what we should do right now is every California school that has porn in their library should be kicked out.
Does that
is a
include the
book ban.
Bible?
Well, I wouldn't say the Song of Solomon is porn.
No, but I
it-
mean, some have made that point. Is that a fair point, or is it offensive?
I don't think that's fair
And as
at
a man
all.
of faith, and I deeply admire that about you.
Thank you.
Sincerely.
Yes, but no, I mean,
Yeah.
again, the Song of Solomon is rather risque.
No, it's
But what we're
very-
talking
so,
about
but-
in these books is not just the words, it's also the images. And again, your audience can look at the images themselves.
Okay.
It's highly graphic. But again,
But it seems a banning binge. I mean, at next level, sort of cancel culture.
But why do you think moms are doing that? Do you think it's because they want to have mind control, or do you
No,
think
I
that they
think-
have come across
I think there's-
incident of highly provocative
I
material?
love moms, but this moms, I mean, we don't have to get into Moms for Liberty. It
I mean, you
seems
brought up the book bans,
deeply,
though. I mean-
deeply organized for a larger agenda, but that's my humble opinion.
That's a non-answer.
But let me just kind of complete the point. Is that it's easy to just call it kind of a book ban, but when you actually have to read some of these books, it will take your breath away of some of this stuff, right? You're like, okay, we're teaching a 10-year-old how to put a condom on.
I know. I just have a problem with, who the hell is going to decide that? Government? I mean, Ron DeSantis is going to decide what I
Yes,
can read or
he
say
is.
in the boardroom, in the classroom.
This is the exercise of politics, though.
Yeah.
The exercise of politics is the highest form of community because it blends morality and sociability. So what we do is we have discussion and elections, and we have boards and commissions, right? And we as a people say, okay, no porn for 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
And that's politics, right?
So I don't know why Gavin Newsom posted this clip, to be completely honest, because he gets absolutely annihilated. He begins to defer to Charlie Kirk, saying, yeah, okay, yeah, well, you're right, giving him every point. Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think the response on the left was?
I mean, he's bowing down to the radical right, telling him what's going on.
Maybe. But what is the first post in response to Gavin Newsom do you think it's saying?
He was wrong to talk to Charlie Kirk.
Nope. Nope. I'm surprised you guys are being so kind to Democrats.
There's no.
Well, I mean, they called him a
porn in
Nazi.
schools?
It's what?
There's no porn in schools. Like,
No.
He's leaning into fascism.
Wow, I'm surprised you guys can't figure this one out. It's that porn. They argue that porn should be in schools.
Yeah, that was close. That was close.
No way.
Never change, Democrats.
Well, at least this guy responded by saying porn is not bad. Forcing people to feel sex is bad is evil. Legalize sex.
This is that is exactly what I wanted to hear. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for saying that.
Well, look at Emma Vigeland from the Majority Report. She came on the Culture War podcast, and when I was like, "Here's a book that teaches children that is for kids, and in it is an explanation on how to use Grindr." Okay, that's telling kids to go meet adult men. That's wrong. And she's like, we shouldn't censor books. And I'm like, okay, so you're in favor of adult materials. Like, that book has scat in it. You know what that is?
Literally.
We're trying to keep it family friendly, so I'm not going to define what that is, okay? And she defended it and said it was a good thing.
I don't think I've ever been more aggravated by an episode of your show than when you had her on. 'Cause it was watching somebody who obviously didn't know what she was talking about, trying to defend something she didn't know about. And it was insane to watch somebody just go, well, you don't ban books. It's like, there has to be nuance to this conversation.
It's not nuanced. They're actually lying to you. Okay, there is no book ban. It is curation. There's a word for it. It's what you can't have every book that's ever been printed in the school library. You must curate your library.
Well,
so you curate it and you select things that are acceptable and are not. It's not
library.
books.
It's curriculum.
Fair
the
enough.
issue
Fair
in
enough.
Florida was curriculum, meaning they were giving sheets to children saying, here are the books we want you to read. So I have a question for Democrats. Should Mein Kampf be in the curriculum for grade school kids?
Well, I mean, half their side supports that as a Bible, so sure.
Have the Democrats?
I mean,
their whole argument against white supremacy and fascism, they'd say, how dare you? Of course not, blah, blah, blah. And I say, should we ban that book in grade schools from curriculums? Or should we say, we will not include Mein Kampf in the curriculum for 7th graders? I'd like to see them say, no, book bans are bad. Fine. Stick to your principles, I guess. All books, all the time, everywhere.
But that's why it's weird to see Gavin Newsom talk about a book ban, because I had to look it up because I couldn't remember the actual titles of the books. But under his administration, they banned The Adventures of Huck Finn, To Kill a Mockingbird, and Of Mice and Men.
Wait, Newsom did?
Yeah, California has banned the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, To Kill a Mockingbird, and Of Mice and Men.
For being racist.
Yeah. So what you can do, apparently it's like you can ban examples of racism, or or even in literature, but you can't ban examples of sodomy, which is in the literature that they want still to be in these books. It's like, okay, so I'd love to try to figure out, give them a Venn diagram and make a show me where their points are.
32 attempted book bans targeting 87 titles across the state, focused on the books were basically considered, what is it?
And again, it goes back to it's not a ban because you can buy these books. It's just that they're not in the curriculum. So the whole premise is a lie. No. It's not a ban. It's curation. You can still get these books in the States. You can buy them on Amazon. This is all BS. It's all a lie.
I think Newsom came out against those bans.
Oh, did he? Okay.
I'm not sure, but a cursory search says that Newsom's administration pushed back on book bans. Let me read what it says. Governor Newsom signed Assembly Bill 1078. The legislation prohibits school boards from banning instructional materials or library books based solely on their inclusion of diverse perspectives, particularly those related to LGBTQIA and racial themes. So I think the racial themes was specifically targeting the bans of Huck Finn and things like that.
Okay, he opposed it.
He did oppose it? Yeah.
So he recently, what was it? He passed AB 1078.
Right.
To require that you need 2/3 to ban it. Yeah. So sorry to attribute that to Gavin Newsom. That was California's attempt to censor those books.
But it is fair to point out that he's complaining about Republicans wanting to ban books while Democrats are equally banning books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just they're banning things that go against what they see in their head. But that's why it cracked me out when he asked him. He goes, "Who's gonna make that decision? Ron DeSantis?"
And the answer is yes.
Yeah, you make that decision. It's like if you want to have those books in California schools,
maybe the parents that go to the PTA meetings. That seems reasonable.
Parents having a say about children? That's crazy.
Crazy.
Well, no. In California, the kids keep all of their problems a secret and only talk with strangers.
Yep.
Yeah.
The teacher gets to know everything, and the parents can't be told the truth.
It's
That's wild, man. I can't believe that they chose that as a campaign platform. But let's be real, the Democrats are they are a how would I describe this? A shadow monster, right? A bizarro American person, right? So you know Bizarro Superman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's insane. He talks backwards half the time or whatever. So Republicans are like, we shouldn't allow criminals and rapists to come in, and Democrats go, yes, we should. And you're like, what? Why? And then you're like, I'm going to clap for this 13-year-old with brain cancer. And they go, ooh, that's bad. And you're like, why? Everything that regular people like, they hate. Every bad thing we're trying to stop, they like. It's just opposite party.
Well, that's where we say like the joke that, you know, Donald Trump could cure cancer and the left would complain about all the out of work oncologists.
Right.
You know, they'd be upset about that. And that's the reality of it. I think Bill Maher said it best. He was like on that, he was on, what was it, Podcast Save America. And he said, if you want to lose every election coming up, put parents in second place when it comes to decisions about their children.
That 100%, and that's exactly the message that the Democrats have been sending. At least the message the Democrats in California have been sending. If you want to lose elections, tell parents that your children are not your children. It's a
imagine trying to make children community property. Basically, is what they're doing.
The crazy thing to me is that there are liberal parents who agree with it.
Yeah.
The sad thing is, I don't think there's I think it's one of those silent majority, vocal minority things where the people who oppose it don't want to be ostracized in their community.
Maybe, but I mean, there are parents who literally support the school inflicting upon their children horrible things. And there are parents who bring their children to fully nude drag shows or like just inappropriate drag shows. There was when this whole thing was happening with the drag, all ages drag shows they were trying to do, which have largely been pushed aside. They were parents bringing children to events where grown men were doing sex acts, or they were putting their children on stage at gay bars for men to throw money at. There were parents that were doing that. There are evil people out there.
I remember.
To be fair, though, there was a story out of Europe, I think last week, where a young woman gave birth to a baby and threw out the window.
Wait.
Where?
She was an American. I think she was an American who was visiting France, and she gave birth and then chucked the baby out the window from like the third or fourth floor. Because there are insane people who do evil things.
See, that's one of those I would use as a test case on TikTok. I could make a video about that, and that's where I love to see the insanity of the left, because I could post about that and just say this was wrong, and then watch my comment section tell me how not wrong it was.
Yeah, here you go. I mean, I don't want to dive too much into this, but U.S. woman in custody after allegedly throwing newborn out of Paris hotel window.
Insane.
Baby was pronounced dead at the hospital, and authorities are investigating the case as a homicide of a minor younger than 15. That was from February 25th. There are evil, evil people, and this was a parent who killed her child.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
That's terrible.
Allegedly.
Yep. Allegedly.
She'll be like, can't blame the woman. It was the gravity. You know, like that's what they'll say.
Yeah, well, let's get into the nitty-gritty of politics here. We got the story from Newswire. It's from the Bloomberg TV wire. This is funny because I saw this headline from Newswire, and when you read the AP headlines, there is key context missing in their stories. The title is, Doge effort to sell off federal properties inadvertently exposes CIA black site in Northern Virginia. Bloomberg TV reporting.
Oh, yeah.
Massively viral story. Now, what happens when you actually try to Google search it is not a whole lot comes up. But we do have this story. Trump administration deletes list of hundreds of federal buildings targeted for potential sale. So, okay, here's Bloomberg. The Doge effort to sell a federal property inadvertently exposes CIA black sites. AP reports they delete the list of federal buildings for sale. They don't give you the context of why it was deleted. The Trump administration Tuesday published a list of more than 440 federal properties it identified to potentially offload, including the FBI headquarters and the main DOJ building, after deeming them not core to government operations. Hours later, however, the admin issued a revised list with only 320 entries. And by Wednesday morning, the list was gone entirely. Non-core property list coming soon. The GSA, which published the list, did not respond to repeated questions about the changes or why the properties that had been listed had been removed. But now we know why. And I think it's absolutely hilarious. It's because the CIA was operating buildings off the books. And whoops.
Yeah, and the CIA is not supposed to. I mean, this is obvious to most people, but the CIA is not supposed to be operating in a
domestically,
a fashion like that domestically. So, I like the fact, obviously, that this has been exposed. Yep. I do hope that it leads to more investigations as to what exactly they were doing, and I hope that becomes public so the American people know what CIA was doing in the U.S. Like, I do think that it's acceptable to have an intelligence bureau working internationally, but I don't think I also think that it's unacceptable to have them working in the United States. There is an FBI for that reason, for when it comes to federal crimes, which there should actually be few federal crimes, in my opinion. There shouldn't be a lot of crimes that the federal government actually investigates, kidnapping, those kind of things. You know, maybe interstate drug trafficking or international drug trafficking, etc. But otherwise, there shouldn't be a lot of crimes that the feds actually have to investigate, because that's what we have states for. That's why we have state police. That's why we have municipal police. There are multiple police agencies. The federal government doesn't need all the policing agencies that it has. And furthermore, things like the EPA don't need an actual police force. Right, that's what the FBI is for. Mm-hmm. You don't need to have a federal police force for for HUD.
Yeah.
But every organ, like they all do. I mean, the FDA has police force. That's why they have SWAT teams that kick in the doors of people that are selling raw milk.
Chicken police.
The IRS has police force too.
Yeah,
I mean, all these federal agencies have some sort of police force. My question: what exactly is a black site? Is that kind of like one of those places where
it means off the books?
It's
just off the books. That's pretty much all it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So activities are untracked by actual federal spending and things like that. But the bigger thing, please, sorry.
No, it also means there's not going to be oversight.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So it's pretty straightforward.
As I was saying, when you talked about the first response on the article on the other X post, the funny thing to me is, like, on this one, the first response should be, why is the CIA operating domestically? That should be the response from the American people.
Absolutely.
But instead, if you go to that Twitter post, the first response is, how can they just sell our property? It's like, how are you that delusional? Like, it was like, I look at it the same way I look at when Edward Snowden came out and told everybody. I expected the response to be, how dare they spy on us and violate our constitutional rights? The other one is, the actual response was, why did you give this young guy access to this information? Like, I was like, that's insane.
I would like to ask this person,
Anja,
ma'am, do you think that you are CIA? There is no hour here.
Bro, guys, clearly this is a CIA sock puppet account that didn't realize they had switched over to their main. It's a joke. I'm kidding. But the CIA is probably running sock puppets from that office. Who knows?
Yeah.
probably.
But
one of the smartest things that Elon Musk did was when he said, we're going to make it so that non-verified accounts don't get seen. He was basically saying all the bots we can't find and get rid of. So by charging at least $1, we make them pay. Mm-hmm. So now the CIA, they probably had a meeting where they were like, how many bots do we run on X? And they're like, 3 million. They're like, oh, what's that going to cost us? It's going to be like 50 million a year. And Elon's sitting there being like, yep.
Absolutely.
Good.
I did think it was funny that when you look at the verified accounts, that when he put that out there, that the anonymous accounts, the accounts for hackers, anonymous, they all verified their account. So if you look, there's every anonymous account on TikTok, on X is verified. I was like, one of y'all put your ID in, which is hilarious.
Yeah. But the question of whether or not they were actually operating, the CIA was actually doing domestic operations, we don't actually know that.
It should be answered.
That's true.
That's a good question.
And the problem with the black site operating in the United States is, well, for one, it's probably not the only one. If you think it's the only one, I got a bridge to sell you, and we don't get accountability when they do these things. But based on what we saw with Eric Ciaramella, yeah, the CIA was running operations in the U.S. And for those that don't know, he's the guy who got Trump impeached. And YouTube and Facebook would delete any post made with that guy's name in it. This is what's really funny about the Epstein stuff. When the people come out and they're like, Mossad, he was working for Israel. I'm like, well, slow down. I think, what did Mike Cernovich say? It's whatever's above Mossad, right? That doesn't mean it's not related to Mossad, but it's got some higher clearance than you can just say. And the evidence to that is when Trump got impeached due to the Eric Ciaramella whistleblower thing, when Real Clear Investigations, a reputable, prominent national news company, issued their report saying we've identified the whistleblower. If you went on Facebook or YouTube and said that name, they'd nuke the content and they wouldn't say anything. The weirdest thing was you post on Facebook, hey, here's the guy's name. Your post would vanish without warning. No strike, no notice, no notification. And so what I ended up doing was I said, Eric Ciaramella is a 50-year-old dentist from Dubuque, Iowa. He has 3 kids and enjoys his day. Deleted. And I'm like, no, hold on. I didn't say anything about that guy. Certainly there are other people with that name, right? Nope. If you said that name, Facebook would remove what you said within seconds, within minutes. YouTube took down, I think, 2 of my videos where I was talking about the Real Clear Investigations report. I just covered the news. I'm like, wow, big breaking story. Real Clear Investigations they say they've unmasked the whistleblower. Video disappeared. I didn't even know. I didn't get a strike. I didn't get a warning. I didn't get an email. I saw comments from people saying they were like, Tim, why'd you take the video down? And then sure enough, when I went, the weirdest thing was when I went to my YouTube page, the video was still there. But when I moved the mouse over the title, it wasn't a link. It was just like
Nothing.
Nothing.
Your thumbnail was just hanging out, basically.
Yeah, it was like the thumbnail, the title, and instead of the cursor turning into a little finger to click, nothing happened. And I couldn't click on it. And I'm like, this is weird. So yeah, that's the domestic operations they've been doing, and we know they're doing. And we don't get accountability when they're running black sites in Northern Virginia or who knows where else. So
Or anywhere, yeah.
Right.
The double standard is crazy because we had, what was it, Nate, is it Kane? Oh, like a few weeks ago where he was the whistleblower, and he was saying that his name got leaked and that people are saying it over YouTube, X, and everything. No reaction like that, because rules for thee, but not for me.
Oh, yeah, the CIA, they protect their people.
So it's just, the double standard is just
I got to
crazy
say, though,
me.
I'd love to see the internal documents, because Twitter wasn't doing this. Twitter allowed you to talk about it.
Okay.
I'd love to see the internal documents from Facebook when this was going on, why they were taking these things down. And Zuckerberg, remember when he went on Rogan and he was like, we made a lot of mistakes and we're changing and we're going to do things right. I'd like to see any human being sitting across from him at that point be like, tell me why you took down all the posts related to Eric Ciaramella. Tell me why. It's really funny because for a while we didn't know if they lifted the auto ban on his name. And then Jack Posobiec was on the show, and it was like a year later or 2 years later. And then he said it, and then we all looked at each other, and we were like, they're going to ban us? Now it's just like, bro, there's no rule against saying Eric Ciaramella. If they want to take the live show off the air with 50,000 people watching because we broke no rules, I don't know what to tell you, man. Let the world see exactly how the CIA operates in this country. But I will say, outside of this, there's some things I can't talk too much about, because confidential sources talking on background can't say too much. But let me just say, with the moves Trump has made against the deep state, largely with the reforming or attempted reforming currently of the FBI, the stuff I'm already hearing is wild. And I'll give you one example. The case against James O'Keefe related to Ashley Biden's diary evaporated overnight. I think we're going to start to see the exposing of the criminal weaponization of government against private citizens. So it's going to get rowdy.
But see, here's what worries me about that. We did that already, right? We knew, like, we had multiple people come out and tell us, hey, by the way, the United States government is violating your constitutional rights. They're digging into your email. They're digging into your phone calls. They're observing all the stuff they're not allowed to. And our response was, the American people's was to say, hey, that guy that told us that dude's a criminal. And it was like, and I hope the American people have evolved to a point where we recognize that was a bad idea.
This is going to be formal documents coming from, declassifications. Trump says he wants to put out the documents on the attempted assassination, reveal these things to the public. And I think not that I believe Pam Bondi or Kash Patel want to be overly transparent. I know that there's a narrative about that, but that in this regard, the transparency we seek benefits them, and that's why you're likely to get it. So Epstein files, I don't know. Honestly, they probably were destroyed a long time ago. But weaponization documents currently within the FBI New York office, in the attorney's office at the Southern District of New York, it is within the agenda and interest of the Trump administration, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, that we get transparency on all of those things. If it was perhaps information pertaining to a Trump operation, in the Middle East that could spark war or something that was related to the extraction of U.S. personnel, who knows? they're not going to just reveal this information. If there's information pertaining to drug cartels and, someone gets shot and killed, they're not going to release this information. They're going to be like, these are ongoing things. But the weaponization, all the stuff we're deeply concerned about, fortunately for us, we're all aligned.
Yeah.
What Kash Patel wants is exactly what the people want. And so that's what you vote for.
I mean, hopefully that it continues. I mean, so far we are getting what we want. Hopefully that continues.
I think we'll be, I think I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to be I called it a marginally good presidency. I said, Trump showed us that in his first term, it was marginally good. He had a lot of bad people. There was some bad policy, but it was a net positive. I think it'd largely be the same. Then sure enough, in the first month, Trump is basically just nuclear bomb after nuclear bomb.
Scorched earth.
Exceeding all expectations. I think it will taper off to a certain degree in some ways, but I don't know the volume gets turned down from here. What I mean to say is right now we're seeing this parabolic curve where it's just getting crazier every day. The Democrats are losing their minds. I don't think it's going to keep going up like that. I think it's on a plateau, but it will remain tense and high. Like Trump is going to be doing a lot of things at this level for a long time.
I think it's going to be pretty intense up until midterms. It's going to be kind of leading that crescendo right to there. And then
I don't know.
We'll see.
No, I think it gets crazy before the midterms because
I'm saying it's going to keep going up, and then midterms, if they win the midterms.
No, I think he's got to push for JD. I think he's got to push to say we're going to keep this going because if it does tail off, what he's saying is that he's basically spent his powder, right? That there's nothing else to reveal to the American people. But I mean, I do agree that I think it's mutually beneficial. What Kash and them want is what the American people want, so we're going to see it. And I think the reason why it was so moderate the first time is that I think Trump trusted the government.
Yep.
First time he was in office, he was like, these people aren't actually evil. They're not trying to screw over everyone.
Let me hire John Bolton.
That's a perfect example of trusting the government. And then he came in the second time and he's like, all of these people are out of their minds. Let's go ahead and let's go wild.
Yeah, I mean, that was, we've said this on the show before, but the 4 years that Trump was kind of in the woods and in the wilderness really gave him the ability to not just plan what he was going to do when he came back, but also find the right people, clearly people that had been persecuted by the government, people like RFK, people like Tulsi Gabbard, people like Kash Patel, I forget his name, the HHS, not the HHS guy, anyways, finding people that had been persecuted by the government to get into positions that were doing the persecuting, right? With Tulsi as head of DNI and stuff. That kind of stuff is where you see the real changes are going to happen because these people know exactly what these bureaucracies have been doing.
Did you say Peter Navarro?
I didn't mention Peter Navarro.
Is that who you're thinking of, or was that
no? It was the guy that was basically banned from the internet for talking about vaccines.
RFK Jr.?
No, for talking about the COVID vaccine.
There were a lot of people who were basically banned from the internet.
He's in the administration now, is what I'm saying. I forget what his name is. It totally slipped my mind.
Well, let's
because I know a friend of mine, Dr. Simon Godek, he was attacked relentlessly for that. He actually ended up moving to Brazil.
Let's jump to this next story from Variety. Jimmy Kimmel roasts Trump for claiming Biden spent $8 million on making mice transgender. Are they so dumb they don't know how to Google? Okay, we have two possible scenarios. Jimmy Kimmel is in fact so stupid, he doesn't know how to Google, or he's lying to you. Because I'm going to show you what he said, but first, we call this, as Ian refers to this as information vaccination. That's the wrong story. This is the story. Nope, that's the wrong story too. The story we're looking for is right there. CNN forced to issue correction to Trump fact check after false claim. CNN forced to issue correction to Trump fact check after false claim Biden admin did not spend $8 million on transgender mice. This claim needs context. CNN was forced to issue a correction Wednesday after they falsely fact-checked President Trump's claim that the federal government under former President Biden had spent $8.2 million on gender-affirming hormone treatments in mice. The funding was funneled through the National Institutes of Health, but CNN's Deirdre McPhillips clapped back at the president, saying that the experiments were only carried on monkeys and that it amounted to a mere $500,000. Turns out she and CNN were mistaken. It was the White House that pointed that out. Under the Biden administration, the National Institute for Health doled out millions of dollars in taxpayer-funded grants for institutions across the country to perform transgender experiments on mice, the White House said in a statement before laying out some shocking examples of egregious spending. CNN had originally reported that Trump had falsely claimed that the Department of Government Efficiency identified government spending $8 million making mice transgender. In the reporting, they had cited 3 studies. So I don't know if they have the actual image, but we also have this from Fox. CNN edits fact check saying Trump falsely claimed there were trans experiments on mice. This story was huge. It was a couple of weeks ago. We went over the story. Quote, between 2021 and 22, NIH awarded a total of $477,000 to 3 projects that involved administering feminizing hormone therapy to monkeys to understand how it may affect their immune system. The fact check continued. Transgender women are nearly 50 times more likely to be infected with HIV than other adults, blah, blah, blah. We get it. There were also numerous studies where they gave cross-sex hormones to mice. The purpose of these studies, so what CNN first did was they were like, no, Trump's wrong. Then they went, well, okay, Trump's not wrong. It's just they weren't trying to make the mice transgender. They made them transgender so that they could do different experiments, which doesn't matter because that's not what Trump said. Jimmy Kimmel, who is either as dumb as a box of rocks or as evil, sorry, rocks, perhaps both, came out and lied, claiming he meant transgenic mice. No, he didn't. They made that up. And it's a weird, clever way to manipulate stupid people who don't pay attention. They say, Jimmy Kimmel continued to roast Trump on his talk show, blah, 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 saying $8 million on making mice transgender. This is real, to which Kimmel fired back, no, it's not real. You know that you hear the president of the United States say we're spending $8 million to do sex change operations on mice. You say, well, I'm sure he's exaggerating, but there must be something there. Turns out there's not. It's not real. The government spent money on transgenic mice, which are genetically modified mice they use in lab tests to study disease. It has nothing to do with being transgender other than the word. The trans part of the word, you think they know this and just ignore it, or are they so dumb they don't know how to Google? Or maybe they think we're so dumb we don't know how to Google. I don't know. Well, perhaps if Jimmy Kimmel read CNN, he'd realize Trump was meaning literally transgender mice.
Well, I'm not going to blame him for not reading CNN. Most of us try to avoid it. So, you know,
even Jimmy Kimmel.
I mean, Jimmy Kimmel's going to say negative things about Donald Trump no matter what. So it's, you know, I feel like taking, you know,
yeah, but this is egregious.
Well, I can tell you that
transgenic
argument made at the TikTok, that is the trending thing right now.
The what argument?
All the liberal creators making videos, making it a lot of videos about it's transgenic, not transgender, and trying to obscure.
They're lying.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's a fact check, and liberals aren't going to go look for that.
Right.
So, but they're going to look for the big creators.
So TikTok banned me for like, I don't know, the 800th time or whatever. And we only recently restarted the account. I hate TikTok. I think it's awful. And I only recently restarted the account because of the controversy and everything going around about the banning. I said, okay, like, let's play ball. Banned in like 2 weeks. And they said that we don't exist in their shared reality. So we have stories like this in the Telegraph. Trump said the U.S. spent $8 million on transgender mice. He was right. Reeling off a list of examples of apparent misspending, Mr. Trump said that $45 million is spent on diversity, equity, inclusion, blah, blah, blah. The left wing said this, that, or otherwise. The White Coat Waste Project, a nonprofit campaign to stop animal testing, which investigates taxpayer-funded experiments on the effects of gender-affirming drugs in rodents. The president was referring to their investigation. Justin Goodman, senior vice president for the lobbying group, claimed that has documented over $250 million spent on transgender animal experiments over the last couple of decades. He added, there are over 24 active federal grants funding transgender animal experiments worth a total of $64 million. These include NIH-funded project at Duke University that allegedly received $455,000. In another experiment, scientists at the University of Michigan allegedly spent $2.5 million of a grant investigating the effects of hormone treatment in mice to imitate gender transition. So all they can do is lie. This is so shocking to the American conscience. Jimmy Kimmel probably sat down with his CIA handler, who is out of a job now and shaking and smoking 800 cigarettes, being like, just say transgenic, I guess, because Jimmy Kimmel is an evil person. And you know why he's evil? Because when his friend, Dickie Barrett, who was the host, the introductory voiceover for his show, was mandated to get the vaccine, and he said he wasn't going to do it. They fired him. Jimmy Kimmel went on a show later and said people who don't want to get the vaccine shouldn't get medical treatment, or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, the first we bring in the people who got the vaccine, and the rest of them you don't get the medical treatment. Something like that. I don't have the exact quote pulled up, so I want to make sure I'm cabinet with. I'm paraphrasing something to that effect. I think that's evil.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, this whole project that they're talking about is, pardon my French, it's Frankenstein shit, right? Like, this is straight up like trying to play God, and it's gross and creepy. I don't care what people think of me for saying, but it is.
It's crazy how, I mean, I guess I should say, this is the stupidest attempt at calling Trump a liar. It's one thing when you edit him out of context to make it seem like he said the wrong thing. It's another thing to go, crap, they found out about the transgender mice thing. Transgenic mice thing, I mean. And then you're like, bro, come on, we're not falling for your puns.
But I can tell you how this is going to progress on social media. So the defense right now, over the last 2 days, has been it's transgenic. Like, that's the push. You see any large liberal creators, they're using that line. And then as we come out with the fact checks of them, because there's a ton of us creators who will fact check them to death. And as we come out with that, the next line is going to be, well, the intention wasn't to make them transgender. The effect, that was just a side effect of the experiment. So the goalpost when it comes to that type of stuff is always at a dead sprint away from us.
But you got to make sure so the response then. So if you're talking to your liberal aunt and she's saying transgenic, and then you show the actual, from the Telegraph, come on, prominent British newspaper, and she goes, well, but the intention wasn't to make them trans. You respond with, whoa, so it did happen. That's it.
That's right.
Wow, they did that? But for other reasons. Well, I don't care what the reasons were. Trump didn't cite reasons. He just said they were doing it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you have to be totally ideologically possessed to think that it's okay for the government to be spending money on these types of programs for the intended purposes that they're talking about. Like, this is Frankenstein shit. This is straight up, it's on par. It's closing in on, like, making mutants in a lab.
But you have to think their morals are obviously, I mean, when you're looking at the moral compass of liberals who believe in this type of stuff, I mean, their moral compass starts at, we can chop body parts off kids. So the idea of doing it to mice to them, that's nothing to them.
Yeah.
It's crazy how the argument they're making is Trump misread the report because it's plausible to stupid people who don't actually investigate the news.
Do you think the intent of them saying Trump misread the report, other than to cast Trump as a dumb person or something, do you think the intent is to mislead people into thinking that it doesn't happen?
Yes, because it gets backed up right away. So a good example is on TikTok. We have a few creators who pretty much get their marching orders directly from Midas Touch. Like, we can see the FEC documents, they get paid. So the funny thing is when you see Midas Touch come out with an article, these dudes have videos for it, right? They're the little crew of guys that make videos about whatever Midas Touch tells them. So when they run with the transgenic line, these are the heaviest hitters when it comes to the liberal side on TikTok. They're going to get 10 million views on It's Transgenic before anybody got around to mentioning the CNN fact check. Because Midas Touch is telling them, this is what we're making an article, go talk about it. And it just gets out very quick. Yeah. And then most of us on the conservative side, we're playing catch up, where the whole time we're just receiving it and trying to, and it's such an overwhelming sense of, I got to debunk it.
By the time you get the actual rebuttal out, it's spread like wildfire. That's the whole the lie gets halfway around the world before the truth can get its shoes on.
Exactly.
Once everybody sees the headline, they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Especially when you're primed to believe something, like you want to believe that Trump is the bad guy, and then someone can go ahead and feed you a line, and you're like, oh, let me get on TikTok, let me get on X, let me get on Blue Sky or whatever your platform of choice is, and spread this around. And again, it's something that I don't think is compelling to the average person that's plugged in, but I still think that there's a significant portion of the United States or significant portion of the U.S. that isn't plugged in.
Yep. These people are evil.
I agree, and I mean anything along this line of science, like he said.
I'm saying the liberals who are lying to obfuscate that the government is spending hundreds of millions of dollars on this stuff, they're evil.
Well, yeah, like I was saying, their moral compass, if they're willing to chop stuff off kids, they don't care about mice.
Right.
To them, it's not a big deal to lie about this.
But again, I'm not talking about the science. I'm talking about the liberals that are saying, to prop up the cult, Trump must be wrong. We are going to lie about what's really going on. They're evil. So we'll give a shout out to this lady, Andrea C. Love, PhD, who tweeted, I can't believe this needs to be said. Transgenic mice are not transgender mice. And it's got 14,000 retweets. And then, of course, I just posted this. And then you've got everybody claiming you are wrong. But she still gets, 6.4 million views. And the liberals attach themselves to this without fact-checking it because they're dumb as a box of rocks. So, I have to say it. But there's a reason why when Charlie Kirk sits down with Gavin Newsom goes, oh, yeah, you're right, I guess. Because these people don't read. Marianne Williamson told me after she came on the show, I'm paraphrasing again, it's been a long time, that she wouldn't do this ever again. And there's a reason why liberals won't do it. And it's because she said something to the effect of like, the questions you ask and things you bring up are just so outside of how we handle things or whatever. And the gist of the conversation was, simplest form, we actually showed her the proof and she could not answer these questions.
Yep.
For instance, when she said book bannings are bad, and I grabbed one of the books because we have them all, and I showed it to her, she gasped. Mm-hmm. I showed her the blowjob in the genderqueer book, and she went, "Oh!" And she was like, "I don't want to look at that." And I'm like, "Do you think kids do?"
But that's exactly. I remember you saying that to her, and you were like, "I cannot show you this on camera because this video will get taken down."
The presence I'm going to give to Bill Maher when I go on his show, so I don't think they'll ever have me on that show.
What are you bringing for Gavin Newsom? When you're on that show.
Similar things. I'm going to be like, let's talk about these books. And, but Bill Maher's halfway there, so, but I do have a lot of stuff to bring him related to Trump because he gets the book stuff. He gets the gender ideology stuff, right? He gets the stuff Trump is saying. He doesn't understand the economic stuff. He doesn't understand he believes too much of the corporate lies. I think if you're somebody who passively absorbs the news, like Bill Burr, for instance, you're as dumb as a box of rocks. You know what I mean? Like, let me clarify that. People who don't watch news programs, but are fervent, is what I'm trying to describe. If you're a plumber and you don't watch the news, you don't pay attention, I got no beef, all right? We're going to do our best to get you educated. If you're someone who doesn't watch the news, but you are fervent on political issues, I'm saying you're dumb. So presents abound for all of these people when I visit them. Like I'm going to give him books. I'm going to print out news reports. I'm going to hand it to him, and I'm going to be like, I'd like you to just look at these things.
But see,
like the Ukraine stuff, especially.
But when you said with Bill Maher, you're going to bring him stuff, especially on Trump, right?
Yeah.
My worry with Bill Maher, because Bill Maher definitely gets it. He definitely gets it that liberals have lost their minds, and he doesn't even see himself in that party anymore. But I think when it comes to Trump, I honestly think with Bill Maher, it's like a religious hatred of a religious dislike where, like you could present a priest, say, hey, look, here's all my evidence, God isn't real. And he's still going to believe it. And I think that's how Bill Maher is with Trump, is no matter what evidence you give him, he's just going to have a hate of Donald Trump. Like, I think he's just done it so long. He's got so used to hating him.
Well, Trump and him also have personal beef.
Oh.
So it's emotional. Like Trump insulted him or something. I can't remember what happened.
Yeah. He insults a lot.
But again,
Donald Trump insulted something? No way.
So like apparently they won't have me on the show for some reason, and the people have been trying. And then their people I talked to on the phone, and that will get you out. And then they offered me some dates, but my kid was just born, so I couldn't go. But
congratulations, by the way.
I appreciate it. But now apparently they've gone radio silent again, which I got to be honest, I wouldn't go on real time. It's just not going to happen. I don't respect the show. I used to watch it all the time when I was younger for a very long time. But I think Club Random would be very interesting to sit down with Bill Maher. I think the issue is, for the same reason Marianne Williamson says she can't come on a show like this, for the same reason liberals are terrified to come on Timcast IRL, is that it's a show where we literally have 30 news stories pulled up from reputable sources and we read through them. Mm-hmm. So it's like when I pull up ABC News or CBS or Fox or The Telegraph or Axios, how do they respond to a CNN article that says they're lying or wrong? They can't. Mm-hmm. So we've had the famous instance was Hunter Avallone. Came on the show, if you remember that guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I mentioned something to the effect of, Joe Biden said, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not going to $1 billion. And he goes, that never happened. And I was like, okay, pulled it up and said, roll tape. And we played the clip right there in front of him. And he went, oh, how can you maintain the liberal lies of your platform if you're forced to sit down and confront the facts? So these people won't come on these shows. No, they're terrified. But for some reason, conservatives are knocking on the door and won't leave me alone. They're asking every day, can we come on the show? And I'm like, we'll find time. The schedule's packed up like 2 months out. And we have to try as hard as possible to get liberals to come. And then we had, what was that? Dean Withers was his name, I think, whatever.
Yeah.
He agreed, and then at the last minute canceled. And they always make excuses. Hassan agreed to come on the show and the last minute canceled. These people are terrified. Shout out to Sam Cedar, who agreed to come on the show, though. And we had a discussion, and it was wacky, but it's okay. And
Luke Beasley.
David Pakman wanted money.
Well, Dean won't come to an environment because, like, I know Dean very well. Dean, Parker, Harry, they are the liberal, team for Midas Touch. So it's like when it comes to those guys, they will never. Dean needs an environment like that 30-on-1 that he did with Charlie Kirk, where he gets to fire out stuff and he
Fish Gallop.
Well, he knows there's an end.
Right.
He's like, okay, I have 15 minutes to just be the most insane version of myself. And then I can step away and get away and nobody can challenge me on it. On a program like this, he would say something and you would just go, well, let's look it up. Right. And if you do that to him, he's destroyed. Because he's got a preloaded speech he's going to give you.
It's also why they struggled with Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah.
Because Joe Rogan also says, Jamie, pull that up.
Mm-hmm. So
they have a hard time going on shows like that and being their authentic selves. Hence, Kamala didn't want to go on. They want to set special rules. Their rule for Rogan, I believe it was, he had to go to them in their studio. Why? Because then he couldn't pull that up. They were trying to take him out of that environment. I've told all these people, by all means, I will pull up anything you tell me to pull up. And when we had on, who was it? We had a liberal on. I pulled up everything that they asked me to pull up. Luke Beasley.
Yep.
Yeah, he said, pull up. I pulled it up. We'll pull it up and we'll talk about it. And he got embarrassed. and then guess what? He said he would come back on the show. Now he's refusing.
Is he really?
Now he's refusing?
Now he's refusing.
The thing with like people like
He got
Luke
annihilated.
people that the left, they'll come on here, and even the fact that you'll pull stuff up, they still have a slight advantage in the fact that most of the things that you're going to pull up are going to be have a left-leaning bias. If you bring up Fox, they're going to say, well, it's Fox. And if you bring up Wikipedia, which they're going to say, oh, that's perfectly legitimate, which is completely untrue when it comes to political things. All of that stuff has a left-leaning bias. Most of your media has a left-leaning bias. So, and there's still people that won't come on when you have like not just have to deal with the truth, but you have to deal with the truth that's presented in a way that is friendly to your side.
So I will just do a quick clarification. The first time we tried booking Pac-Man, I was told that he requested an honorarium to appear on the show, to which we said we never pay guests. And then recently, I think a year ago, we tried getting him on again, and he said he'd try to find time, and we bounced back some dates, and it never came through. Kyle Kalinske agreed to come on numerous times and then never did. I don't blame anybody who hosts their own show, and I wouldn't ask anybody to quit their job or cancel their thing for me, so I can respect that. When Hassan Piker agreed to come on the show, he canceled because he said it was during COVID. It was at the tail end, and he was concerned about traveling. And I said, totally legit, that's fine. Sam Cedar, on the other hand, made up a fake story, and then I published the DMs proving he was lying. He eventually did come on the Culture War, and we had a conversation. Because I was just like, I'm not going to have that guy on the show. But then I said, no, let's bring him on because he was lying about me again. And like the only thing they can do is pull clips out of context, lie about my views. But I think it's a mixture of they're liars and also really dumb. And that's why you have most of the prominent, as we were mentioning earlier in the show, I shouldn't say most, but many of the prominent liberal leadership have moved to Trump. So I'm talking about the donors, the industry leaders. I'm talking about RFK Tulsi, Elon, et cetera. A lot of the big default liberals that were in industry, that were donating, that were leading the charge and what the Democrats were supposed to be doing, they're on Trump's side now, as am I. And I'm still a liberal guy. I'm not particularly conservative, but fairly moderate, left-leaning a little bit in some respects. The left right now, as I say all the time, there's left and right means one thing. If you're on the left, you don't pay attention to the news, and if you're on the right, you scrutinize the news.
Yep.
That's the gist of it. And it's a gradient. If you're super far left, you literally don't read the news. And if you're a liberal, you probably read a little bit. If you're a moderate, you may be reading quite a bit. And then it's funny because the Overton window of, I shouldn't call it the Overton window, but there is a column, center right, slightly moderate conservative leaning, where the highest concentration of truth knowers exist. And so you have people slightly to the left and to the right of that. So staunch, hard right conservatives are in this alignment. And then in the middle, you have like fairly moderate conservative types. And that's where we tend to have that coalition. So the more you pay attention to the move, the further right you go to a point.
Yeah. And that's when it comes to like identifying with part of a party. Because, like, sure, I see myself more on the conservative side now, but my thoughts were always liberal. But I didn't have, I just watched the Liberal Party leave me. Like, I can't believe in their positions on, you know, anything they believe in, because it's so insane to me. And, but also on the other side, I can look at, you know, the right, the I'm going to get my truck wrapped in Make America Great Again. And I'm like, I don't identify with you, because I think you're out of your damn mind too. So it's a balance of like, but the problem is that if you're a little on the left and you don't identify with the crazy people, you're not on the left. You're not a liberal. You're a fascist.
Well, I saw this comedian he had this joke where he was like, you know, if you go talk to people that are conservative and you're like, yo, I'm a conservative, they're like, oh yeah, come on over, hang out. And he's like, if you go talk to people that are liberals, you'd be like, oh well, I'm a liberal, and their reply is, well, we'll see. You know, like, because if you step out of line, you're going to get crucified. Mm-hmm. So
it's the meme where, you know, it starts with the person on the right and the person on the left and the guy in the middle, and then slowly as each goes, it's like they get pushed the person in the middle gets pushed further to the right by the person on the left, and they're just yelling, "You're a bigot." You know?
The person in the middle is staying in the exact same place.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're just moving left, and then they're just being like, "You're a bigot," and you're like, "What?"
But again, I mean, there's no cohesive ideology on the left.
But I think a wonderful example of what you were saying is, like, that's why I brought up Anna Kasparian. I think she's a wonderful example of somebody who lived in the liberal world. The liberal world went left, and she stayed liberal. I mean, she's still got some lefty thoughts, but
Anna Kasparian deserves a lot of criticism because she played the game as hard as she could play it until she couldn't play it anymore. And the only reason she couldn't play it was because she started getting attacked by people. And so she and Cenk fell out of it, I don't believe, of their own choosing. So when they were making videos about me, like, I'll tell you, look, we had Cenk Uygur on the show. I'll invite him back whenever. There was this fake story that got published in like 2018 called the Alternative Influence Network. It was a hit piece that claimed independent news creators were secretly networking with white nationalists. They connected Chris Redden, who made video game and comedy sketch videos, with Richard Spencer with a direct straight line. That line, according to the report, said that they had collaborated on video work together. Chris Redden never met the man. He had nothing to do with any of that. He barely was political. He doesn't make any political videos anymore. He even took down some of his political videos. Because the Young Turks had beef with Dave Rubin, they ran this story, fact, as if it was true, and in their thumbnail, my name was right in the middle. So I know Cenk Uygur. I've known him for 13, 14 years. And so I saw him at Politicon, and I was like, hey, how's it going, man? I was like, good to see you. You know, I sent you a message about that piece. Boom, he starts screaming in my face, top of his lungs.
Okay.
And then I'm like, why are you yelling at me? Cameras swarm us. Everybody's filming what's going on. He screams, I'm a Trumper, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he went nuts. He's never addressed, we've never actually addressed that issue. But Anna Kasparian went on to make a bunch of videos lying about me, calling me ugly, saying that I was like, I did a story on 5 reports that had come out saying conservatives tend to be more attractive than liberals. The thesis of these is privilege. It's literally a leftist argument. This is why I say the left has no cohesive ideology. The argument is if you grow up ugly, you are less likely to receive benefits from individuals who are courting your attention. Thus, life will be somewhat harder for you to acquire resources. You will then start to align with collectivist principles of we need to band together because life is hard. If you're attractive, tall, deep voice, chiseled, whatever, or if you're a woman who's busty and beautiful, people do nice things for you because they're trying to court your attention. Thus, you say, wow, this is easy. If I can do it, anyone can. And you start to adopt a more independent or meritocratic worldview. That's actually rooted in the left's supposed ideological argument around privilege. When I made that video, Anna Kasparian made a video saying Tim Pool is ugly and he's wrong, and they just started making fun of fat Trump supporters, despite the fact I was actually just reading the Washington Post. Mm-hmm. So then now she's having this awakening moment, and I can respect that's fine, but I think it's fair for a lot of people to recognize that Cenk and Anna played the game as long as they could until they could not do it any longer. And while it's easy to call them out, I'll give them some respect for doing the right thing now. There are a handful of others that saw the moves that were happening behind the scenes before everybody else and quit their corporate press jobs and became heterodox. And you know they really meant it. I'm not going to name these people, but y'all can figure it out for yourselves. Prominent people who worked at corporate press had this epiphany moment where they were like, oh, I can't believe the woke. I'm quitting. And now they're trying to gatekeep the heterodox position of liberals that are, in the Trump coalition.
I mean, the gatekeeping is something that is typical, but it's something that I think that we should clearly avoid, because the reason we won is because of the broad coalition.
And what I mean is, these people who were woke liberals, who attacked heterodox voices on the right, who all of a sudden at some point decided that they were abandoning ship. It was an inorganic change, and now they're gatekeeping this very same movement to keep people out.
Well, I mean, that there probably is to some degree that's true, but at the same time, like, the whole point, or at least from my perspective, and this is something that we've talked about on the show multiple times, like when you have people that have a change of heart and or that are rejecting the far left and are saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and support, the big tent MAGA movement. I know there are people that are going to be disingenuous. I know there are people that are going to do it for money. I don't care.
And when they are actively suppressing growth of the populist movement is the point.
Yeah, fair enough.
So there are people who worked at big corporate press outlets who had this awakening moment where they said, you're right, the Democrats have gone too far. I'm heterodox. And then a year later, they were saying, don't let those people in. And I'm like, right, those people are full of it. They're fake.
Well, that's fair. But like I said, we have to have we have to welcome as many people as we can. There are people that are going to try and gatekeep, but if they're spreading the message that we're trying to get, and then they're complaining,
which is my position on Cenk Uygur and has always been.
Well, like the biggest one right now is Lindy Lee.
Oh,
like,
right.
She's the one where it's like, because I have had knockdown, drag out fights with her on X, because I just, she has been the left's funnest little puppet online.
That is a tough one.
And then she made the switch, and I'm like, look, I recognize the timing makes what she's saying complete and total BS, right? But it's a grift. Yeah. But
Lindy Lee is.
I'm not going to attack her too much, only because it's fun watching the puppet play.
Well,
for
she's untrustworthy. She either voted for Kamala, or she either lied back then about voting for Kamala, or she's lying now about not voting for Kamala.
Exactly.
So
that is the woman that said that, that used the phrase, we have to use vaccinations as a carrot for people to get their freedom back. Is that the same?
No. You're talking about the health official. The health official who made that. Lindy
right.
Lee is she was a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party. She was this tiny little Asian thing that was she was a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party, but she was the push, like she was on the left and it was coming near the election. She would be the one who would have been the first person to put out the post about transgenic mice.
Yeah.
Like she's that person.
right.
Yeah.
And then magically she had a come to Jesus or a come to Trump, I guess, moment. And
Right after the election.
It was perfectly timed,
Let's jump to the story from Axios. Scoop. State Department to use AI to revoke visas of foreign students who appear pro-Hamas. Okay. Secretary of State Mark Rubio is launching an AI-fueled catch and revoke effort to cancel the visas of foreign nationals who appear to support Hamas or other designated terror groups, senior State Department officials tell Axios. The effort marks a dramatic escalation in the U.S. government's policing of foreign nationals' conduct and speech. Don't care. Thank you and have a nice day. What do you guys think?
I mean, so I think that I would like to think that this can be done properly. I don't know that AI is sophisticated enough. And also, look, I do think that if you are a foreign student and you're here on a visa, I mean, protesting probably shouldn't be high on your list of activities. And I think that you should probably refrain from protesting. Granted, we do have the freedom of speech that's protected here, but if you're here on a visa, maybe you should focus on your schoolwork and not focus on protesting.
I would agree. Like if you're here on a visa, you're trying to make yourself better and ideally make the country better, because the brain dump is a big thing. You're taking smart people from other countries. And if you're going out to, what was it, a library the other day where all those protesters took over and they did the fake bomb threats? Everywhere, really. Like that's not what you want in the country, in my opinion.
For me, I would feel like it needs to be based in the fact that Hamas is a terrorist group. Like it can't be based in protest. It can't be based around people who are, focused on people who are protesting. It has to be people who are taking action to benefit Hamas, whether even through because
I don't know.
If you make it in protest now you're dancing around the First Amendment.
Maybe, but I kind of don't like the idea that we give people temporary stay in this country and then they just start becoming disruptive. American citizens petitioning. So what is protest, and what is the spirit of the First Amendment? The idea was not. The founding fathers did not intend for 17,000 people to march to the street waving signs, blocking roads, and shutting down businesses. Peaceably assemble. What was going on back then was they were concerned that the Crown would come and arrest them for meeting in bars and having planning meetings about the structure of their own government, or going to Continental Congress, sessions, shutting them down. So their view of peaceably assembling speech was not rooted in marching through the streets. But we've largely interpreted it to be like, okay, Americans can assemble in many different ways. Foreign individuals who are here on specific visas pertaining to specific things, choosing instead to block our roads and obstruct our economy, I think I say no to it. I say no. And the reason is, are we going to allow bad actors to come here and then cause economic damage to our country and communities if that and that may have been their entire intent? Like, I don't understand, for what purpose are we allowing non-citizens who cannot vote try to petition our government?
Well, so I look at it more in like a practical sense, right? So how would you define as doing something pro-Hamas?
Oh, I don't care if it's Hamas.
Or so you're talking about just protests if they're caught protesting.
I mean, let's put it this way: if you know what? Let's clarify. Protesting, I don't care about to a certain degree. If a person here on a visa, non-citizen, is at a university or in any way obstructs our official proceedings of government or proceedings of university, I say we retain the right to revoke their visas, because these are not voting individuals. They should not be making attempts to influence our governance.
Okay. So, I mean, but that would at least give the basis of in violating rules or crimes. Because if they're actually stopping people, okay, that I'm 100%
if they're standing on a sidewalk holding up a sign, I kind of say, I don't like that a foreign individual is trying to influence our government, but you could do that from anywhere. Mm-hmm. If an American protests, we can argue that the protest is, there's limitations on if you're obstructing a roadway, we're going to clear you out of the roadway, and then you can get a permit. So I guess I'd put it this way: I don't think non-citizens. I think this is actually pretty clear. I think I'm not even arguing anything. Even Americans aren't allowed to obstruct roadways or official proceedings.
Exactly.
Right. So these protests that they're always doing are unlawful assemblies in that they are not for 1A protected instances. Mm-hmm. So the foreign students at these universities who are obstructing are breaking the law, and they are not protected by 1A. Okay, revoke their visas. Bye.
See, that I don't argue against. If you're here on a visa, you get caught violating our law, you're gone. Like, I'm all for that. My worry is that this is worded very vaguely the way they're talked about. I'm sure there'll be more specificity later, but it's vaguely worded in the sense that if you are taking activities that are pro-Hamas, for you would be sign on the side of the road, not obstructing traffic, not violating rules, like that, making that deportable. I worry that's a slippery slope for it.
Why should any non-citizen be granted the rights to advocate against us, even in our own country?
Because that's the beauty of the First Amendment, is that you have to allow people their voice. Like, you have to.
American citizens.
If you're here on a visa, you are here because we are allowing it. You don't have a right to be here. Okay. You're probably on a visa that's attached to the fact that you're a student. Focus on your schoolwork. If you want to protest or go to a protest, I think that probably should be okay. But if you're engaging in the protest, if you're out there throwing things or making a scene,
I agree with that.
It's kind of like, imagine you got a roommate and you walk in and he's washing his feet in the kitchen sink. And you go, bro, are you legit washing your feet in the kitchen sink? And he goes, hey, man, I pay rent. I pay utilities. I want to use the sink this way. And you go, okay, we need to come to an agreement on what we're allowed to use the sink for. So you draft up these rules and say, okay, fine. I'm going to say you're allowed to wash your feet in that sink there, but don't use my sink. We agree. Then you invite a guy over. He walks over and starts washing his feet in the sink. Be like, no, dude, you're a homie who's hanging out. You don't get to do that. That guy's paying rent, and I had to make it a compromise with him. You stop doing that now. Leave.
No, I can understand. Like I said,
To be fair,
I don't think we disagree. I think we agree that if you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, that you're not allowed to do.
No, I'm talking
where the
about-
First Amendment wouldn't protect you anyway.
So first, 1A does protect non-citizens. The Bill of Rights, the Constitution applies to tourists, 100%. There is a question over guns, which is interesting. How would a non-citizen buy a gun in this country, despite the fact I believe the Supreme Court already ruled the Constitution applies to non-citizens and they have the same rights. And the reason we do that is because, and here is the real challenge. The reason why we give non-citizens constitutional rights is because to take or to deny them those rights would mean that the police could stop you and say, what you are doing is we're going to stop you and search you and say, hey, man, I'm just standing here minding my own business. I'm an American citizen. I have a right to protest. And they go, we don't think you're a citizen. Now we're going to stop you, and then we'll figure out if you're a citizen later. Because the restrictions on the government has to say, we can't actually stop to check if you're a citizen or not. And that's one of the challenges with illegal immigration. So navigating this thing is difficult because, I'll just put it this way. You got people who are coming here for ill intent. Mm-hmm. They seek to cause us harm, to obstruct, cause damage, and they will do it and create friction and economic friction in any way they can. I don't like the idea that we have to let people come into our country. And the issue of Hamas it's secondary. I'm not talking about that. Anybody who comes to this country on a visa as a guest, given benefits by our country for, let's say it's a 3-month visa or a 2-year visa, who then decides, I want to use this opportunity to influence your country. I say, you are not a citizen. You have no right to influence our government in protest. I reject that. I can certainly understand the argument of how does the government differentiate between citizens and not, but I do think there is a problem in saying non-citizens can influence our government in some way with our protection. I don't like that.
Yeah, if you're here as a guest, which is what a visa is, then and you're going to protest. You're going, and I think that it should be, basically engaging in any level of protest beyond just being at the protest. You want to put your body there and stand there and stuff, whatever. That's fine. If you're yelling at people, if you're causing a nuisance in any way, that beat it. Just there's no reason to say, oh, we must allow you to be here. You have no right to be here. You are here because we are generous. If you're going to go and protest and cause a disturbance, hollering through a megaphone. You can be at a place where there are people hollering through a megaphone, but if it turns into something where the police come and they just start scooping people up and you're among them, bye. Yeah. That's it. If it starts getting rowdy, you should get out of there before the police arrive. Because if the police decide we're going to scoop people up, and I'm not saying that police should, I'm not taking a stance on that, but if they do and they find out that you're here on a visa, see ya. Just go home. You can have your opinions. You can type them on the internet. But if you're going to a protest and you're going to make a stink and make noise and the police end up picking you up, beat it.
No, I understand. Like I said, for me, it's a dance. For me, it really is just because as somebody who's pro-Israel and was dealing with a lot of the pro-Hamas protests and all stuff like that, and I recognize it would have been so much easier just to get rid of those people from those crowds and allow the people that wanted to peaceably carry on with their lives to go. And then it butts up because I always look at free speech as an absolute, and I recognize that we've made rules around it and we make concessions on that. And this would be another concession on that is from my perspective. And it's anytime there is a concession when it comes to the First Amendment, I'm always would err on the side of the first than I would on the side of the government making a new rule.
Yeah. I mean,
fair point.
Fair enough.
Indeed. Shall we go to Super Chats? My friends, if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know if you do like the work that we do. We're going to read your Rumble rants and your Super Chats, and of course, we're going to have that uncensored call-in show coming up at 10 p.m. at rumble.com/TimCastIRL. You got to be a premium member at Rumble, so use promo code TIM10. Sign up now at timcastpremium.com. But for now, we will read your Super Chats and Rumble rants. All right, let's see. YouTube's crashing. YouTube does that. We'll start with Rumble, I guess. Rumble's not crashing. All right. Dookie Pock says, I like turtles. Excellent. Whiskey Biscuit says, turtles suck, tortoises rule. These are very, very contentious Rumble rants. I got news for you, Whiskey Biscuit, though. The internationally, the academic recognition of the turtle family includes tortoises.
Ooh.
So everybody likes saying turtle, even though tortoises are technically different. But I forgot what happened. I was at a pet store, and they explained to us, you can look it up, that tortoises colloquially are still in the as per English, the turtles represent everybody. That's right. That's right. Sorry, guys. That's just the way it is. All right. Let's grab some super chats now that we've already started off with some hot takes. Alpha Turkey says, with China acting up near Australia and ready for war, plus 2027 coming up, Gaza and Israel and Ukraine wars, are we on the inevitable path to World War III? I don't know. With Trump in office, if a year ago I might have said it's possible, depends on what happens. But now that Trump's in, I don't know so much. Yeah, maybe a war happens without us because Trump's going to be like, nope.
I mean, there's
Plus it's Israel. And he's going to be like, whatever you need.
One of the things that's actually a little concerning is the way that the EU is behaving. The whole like, oh, we need to arm up and blah, blah, blah. I get that they're not meeting their NATO obligations, but it sounds like they're looking to do it independently of NATO. And the last two world wars were because of Europe. Yeah. And I don't want to see, a third world war because of Europe. So,
well, there was an amazing tweet that somebody put, I don't know what you call it now on X, but an amazing post on X where a person from Germany said, hey, Europe, just checking. You want us to march across Europe and to go fight Russia? He's like, just checking this time. I want to get that out of the way. But
are you guys sure?
Exactly. Like, you really want us to do this? Because we wasn't cool last time. But one of the things to me, I don't think there's a world war possible because, like, there's one of two realities that exist. Either because liberals love to act like if we gave Ukraine a bunch of money, they could defeat Russia, which I don't think is a reality. But let's just say it was. Let's just say the least funded and the least military equipped country in all of Europe could defeat Russia. Okay, cool. Now they're not a world power anymore and we don't have to worry about them. Like one of those two realities has to be true because if Ukraine can beat them, they're not our enemy. They're not our worry anymore. True. But if you can't beat them, now Europe knows you can't beat them without us. They don't go to war either. So either one of those realities keeps us from having a world war.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right, let's grab some more. We have Horsehead saying, Tim, did you see your good friend Emma Vigeland mocking Peyton McNabb being injured? What a real winner.
I did.
I, in fact, did a whole segment talking about it, saying, thank you, Emma. We need these things to win the midterm, so please mock young women who are brutalized by men.
I insulted her.
I saw your
in a very vulgar way.
All right, let's grab this. What is this? Kenneth Hart says, PCC uncovered a pretty serious genocide active in Congo. Uh-huh. Is that a joke from?
No, it's the Gongo.
Oh.
It's a meme that was made up in PCC. There is a femigenocide going on in the Gongo.
Oh, geez.
Aaron Goodrich says, in Timcast tradition, I'm listening to the show while my wife is in active labor.
There you go.
I will welcome my fourth daughter, Helena, likely by the end of the show. Congratulations. Good sir.
Congrats.
Absolutely.
And give my best to your wife. I'm sure she is working very hard right now. A very difficult thing to do. Doug Blask says, shout out to Discord's 7 Days to Die server, now running Darkness Falls, my friends. You want to play 7 Days to Die? Join the Timcast Discord server. Go to timcast.com. Click join us. Sign up. The Discord server, for those who don't know, it's a big chat room. If you're asking yourself, how do I get involved? Are you tired of sitting there on your couch, flipping through YouTube channels, wondering how you can actually get involved and help make a difference? One way is to meet people. You can do that however you want, or you can get started on the Discord server. Timcast.com, you get active, 20,000 plus individuals. They're all hanging out. You'll make friends, and this will create that connection between you and them. And who knows? Maybe you will launch the new podcast or make a new video game or a new comic book, and you change the world.
I thought they were talking about the Killswitch Engage song, When Darkness Falls, which is a very sick song.
Is based. All right. Tyrant God says, the childish display from the Democrats during Trump's speech was funny because grow the F up, but also angering because of the disrespect it displayed. But I agree. But part of me is like, when a child has a temper tantrum, Do we not understand that they lack the cognitive abilities to calm themselves? Their brains are not fully developed. So for the developmentally disabled Democrats, they can't help themselves. I feel bad for them.
Well, going along with the kid analogy, that's perfect because, when you raise children without consequences, they continue to act that way.
Yeah, here we go again. Bagus Rada says, Tim, the story on the newborn being thrown at the window is why I disagree with you on the death penalty. No, it isn't, because that means you don't understand what my argument is on the death penalty. My argument is not that evil people don't deserve some kind of punishment or penalty. My argument is I will not accept Kamala Harris telling me who deserves to die. Okay? If someone is actively going to end the life of a child, legally, we recognize in this country a capital punishment for those offenders. We recognize the right to use force, be it the police or individuals, in most states. No shout out to a few of them, New Jersey. Blech. The point is, morally, we recognize as decent human beings, sometimes bad things happen to bad people, and we must do what we have to protect society. The problem is, there's a difference between active self-defense and me walking into a room, seeing two people I've never seen before, and Kamala Harris going, I think he should die. What do you say? I'm going to say no every time. I'm going to be like, lady, you're nuts. Okay, you are an evil witch. I am not going to pull a lever for anybody nor lend my voice to that. That's my problem with the death penalty. Gavin Newsom and these Democrats in these states, I got to be honest. The things these people would do if you allow them to, okay? So, these arguments don't even align. Not even whatsoever. All right, let's grab some more. What do we got? Pinochet says, what was the CIA doing in the black sites? Has everyone already forgotten when the feds fired an RPG into rural Virginia home last summer? That was a crazy clip. Memory hold as usual. What? I didn't see that. Did we see that?
I didn't see that.
I'd never heard of that.
It was in the house exploded.
The house exploded?
Yeah.
Oh.
RPG.
It was not an RPG.
Yeah, no, that was
Oh.
the one with the gas line. Oh,
I mean, the gas line that's the cover story we hear on all the movies. So, although an RPG isn't going to do the same thing. So when you get that, like people that see RPG see an RPG from a movie. And say, that's not what it does. Yeah.
All right. Stevrek says, if a member of Congress is censured, they should be unable to run for re-election. They need consequences. They want to be locked up. There's expulsion. You can be expelled. Censure is like, it's just nothing. Exactly. If you can even call it that. It's more of a this.
did they even get a fine or anything?
No. They go,
Okay.
you.
It just goes into public record that these guys were schmucks.
And the problem
my finger as hard
is
as I
to
can.
censure, you only need a simple majority.
Did people ever actually wiggle their fingers?
My grandmother did.
Yeah, wagging your finger.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's what they do.
Don't touch those.
The problem with ending the censure on re-election, you doing that would be because you only need a simple majority to censure someone.
Yep.
And so the minute Democrats had power, they would censor every single Republican in Congress and make us elect all new people,
And
which
the minute-
I would not be super opposed to.
And the minute Republicans had power, they'd sit there and go, well, we can't do that.
Exactly.
I believe they should be expelling Democrats right now.
But the problem is that while we're not willing to take the extreme steps, they are. The
I am.
Republican, No, I mean the people in Congress, our people in Congress.
If they asked me to be Speaker of the House, I might say yes. It's never going to happen. But I said, I've always said I would never get involved in government. But there's one job I would throw everything away for. If Trump personally asked me to work at the DOJ, specifically targeting DOJ officials and law enforcement officers who committed crimes under the orders of Joe Biden or any administration, I'd take that 2 seconds. With a smile on my face, I would be locking up cops left and right.
I can only hope to God you would stream it.
If they let me, I'm talking about the CBP agents at the border who were handing children off to sex trafficking slavery rings, knowing they were doing it and saying, Biden told me to. I would love to be the person to perp walk that guy, And the FBI agents who weaponized the DOJ against Trump and against everyone else, I'd love to be the person to lock them up as well. Anybody who broke the law and said, but I was just following orders, you will make my day if I get just one a week, just one criminal government agent per week being arrested, and I'd be signing autographs for libertarians all day. I would love that job. Libertarians outside going, yeah, and I'm like,
You would
no,
be the
no,
most
no.
popular guy for
Yes,
libertarians,
with-
absolutely.
Without a doubt, you'd be the most popular person you'd be the most popular person in government.
Libertarians
Be real.
have not had this much winning like ever. I think, like, seriously, the behavior of Donald Trump and the things that Doge is doing are stuff that libertarians have been dying for and begging for. Ron Paul's in contact with Elon Musk regularly to talk about Doge and things that should be cut and stuff. So libertarians right now are ecstatic. So if Tim could actually go in and actually put people in jail, I mean, that would,
well, to think they got that way by nominating their worst candidate ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the worst candidate ever, though. Bill Weld is a candidate.
These CIA officials who lied to get Trump impeached, all of these evil people who have taken a dump on the vision of the founding fathers, the Constitution in this country, all of the federal law enforcement who cover up and protect crimes, who refuse to do their jobs, or the CBP thing is the biggest thing. Because they knew that these children coming across were being sold into slavery, and they said, boss told me to do it. Each and every one of these CBP agents, every airline pilot who transported illegal immigrants, I would be arresting everybody. Just right to jail. If you're an airline pilot and you knew that you had illegal immigrants on your plane, because there were so many reports of this, that the Biden admin would load up illegal immigrants onto a plane, and the pilots were like, whatever. Boss said it was fine. I would arrest that guy so quick. He'd be like, but I'm just a pilot. And I'm like, did you transport illegal immigrants across state lines? Yes. Oh, you're under arrest. I don't care. Bye.
When I was flying back from Houston last year, me and my wife had an illegal immigrant sitting next to us. They had one of those pamphlet things. Remember they handed those out?
Yep.
She had 3 brand new cell phones, like this whole thing. And I asked her, I'm like, so, and using my phone because I don't speak Spanish. And I was like, so where are you coming from? How long's your journey been? She's like, 6 months from Guatemala. And I was like, oh, you look, she's like, I'm 4 months pregnant too. And I was like, oh, geez.
People need to understand, we live in a society, it is changing under Donald Trump's leadership. We live in a society where airline pilots knew what they were doing was wrong, transporting criminal illegal aliens into this country in violation of the law. It is a straight up violation of the law. 8 U.S.C. 1324. There's no question about it. And they thought to themselves, there's no punishment for committing this crime, so I'll do it anyway. We must return to a country where an airline pilot for American Airlines is standing there about to board his plane, and when his boss says, we've got 15 people who enter the country illegally, they don't have identification, and you will transport them, he says, hell no, I won't. I don't want to go to prison. Or I'd love it if he said, well, that would be morally wrong, sir, and I won't do it. Let's just not forget. I'm not talking about Biden saying we're granting temporary status. I'm talking about people who did not have identification. We didn't know who they were. They weren't vetted for security, and we brought them on taxpayer dollars, and these airline pilots were like, what do I care? I can't get in trouble. I can't get in trouble when I do this. Imagine if every pilot, every single one, every flight attendant said, I will not board that plane so long as there are people on there that are not identified. I will not be in violation of the law. And their boss goes, don't worry, I said it's okay. And it's like, no, it doesn't matter because I'm the one who gets in trouble. It never would have happened. Imagine if every CBP agent said, I ain't transporting that kid to sex slavery. Are you nuts? Never would have happened. But we are in a sick country of amoral, dishonorable individuals. So many men who are spineless cowards who are like, my boss told me to do it, so I guess I have to. I dream of being empowered by the federal government, Donald Trump, to just go arrest all of them. A big old naughty list for every single person who was a spineless coward who said, my paycheck is more important than the fabric of my nation. I say, well, you broke the law, you go to jail. And you know what? To be fair, I'd make sure every single warrant and every arrest was 110%. No overzealous, emotional targeting of individuals. You either confess, we have video evidence and documented evidence, or we say, the idea being, we want to be very, very careful on this one, but we want to make sure people realize breaking the law, there is no excuse that my boss told me to do it. I don't care if you're in the private sector or in the public sector. Imagine someone saying, I took $10,000 out of the corporate accounts to go buy a new motorcycle for myself. My boss told me it was okay. Did you know you weren't allowed to take that money? Yes, but my boss said it was fine. You are going to jail. That's the truth. Why do we grant exceptions to these people when, I mean, it's fascinating to me. Boarding a plane with no ID. Who authorized that? If you tried boarding a plane right now with no ID, what do you think the flight attendant's going to say?
You don't get on.
You wouldn't even get that far.
You won't even get that far.
You get to
Exactly.
You wouldn't get through security at the airport.
So TSA agent, when they say they don't even take your tickets anymore. Do you know this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Take your ID, feed it in the machine.
that's all you do now. They don't even look for your ticket. So what do you think would happen if you right now you went and said, I don't need an ID? They'd say, get out. Like, that's not true. You let illegal immigrants on all the time with these packets. But our boss told us we were allowed to do that one illegally. Okay, I'm going to arrest all. Oh, man. It would be a dream come true. You know what I do? I go to the TSA and say, on these dates, we had, this one had 200 illegal immigrants flying without ID. This one had 200. Who was actively working the security checkpoints on those dates? You're under arrest. And they're like, but my boss told me to do it. Oh, your boss told you to let people in with no IDs? So your boss told you to break the law? And my reaction is, your boss? He told you to do it. Who was your boss? John over there? Okay, you're both under arrest. Thank you.
Well, I thought we did away with the "I was just following orders" excuse after the 40s. I thought we weren't. We pretty much established that "I was just following orders" does not work. But for some reason, it does when it comes to let's just say politically questionable activities. Like, they want to get away with stuff. It's just, I was told it's okay. It's like, you knew it wasn't. It's like,
All right. Polly Perry says, Tim, you should get Newsom as a guest. We are on it, actually. I don't think he's going to travel out here, though. I think the idea is he wants people to go to him, which, I don't know. I don't like going to California.
I don't blame you.
It's not that we don't do business with California. California sucks bad. The issue is it's a microscopic market relatively. So it's fascinating how much people romanticize Hollywood and LA, despite the fact that business-wise, it's the stupidest place to go to for most industry because no one lives there. I know LA's got like 13 million people or whatever, but take a look at any tour map, as Phil would know. How many cities are going to hit an East Coast tour versus a West Coast tour?
Oh yeah, there's a lot more cities on the East Coast than the West
More
Coast.
than half the population of the country lives in Eastern time.
Yeah.
So, Sergeant Buck says Michael Mouse was right again, as he often is. He often is, though I disagree with him on some things. He's often correct. He's a smart man. Very funny as well. We're big fans. Liberty Prime says if Trump told the left not to eat their own poop, they would eat it.
Yeah.
It's so depressing.
Trump needs to actually do this. He needs to not advocate for not eating poop or whatever, whatever. But he should use the phenomena to his advantage by coming out and saying things like, don't donate to this nonprofit. They're really bad. And then it's like a conservative Christian nonprofit or whatever, and then they just get tons of money and
bang.
Well, I think there's that joke that boats are a conservative thing. Only conservatives own boats. It's like, you really want to prop up the boat industry? Let Trump say that boats are just for conservatives.
Yeah.
It'll be a big thing. Everybody will be like, I got to get a boat. Boats are fun, but they're money pits. But,
You know what BOAT stands for, right? Bust out another 1,000.
The joke is the best day of your life is when you buy the boat. The second best day is when you sell it.
Yep.
And then what kind of boat is the best?
a friend's boat.
A friend's boat.
Buddy's boat. But this is true for anything to just charter things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let everybody in a secret. Have you ever even looked into a yacht charter? It's not expensive. So we rented a 70-footer in Miami for the day.
That was fun.
And it was I think it was $6,000 or $7,000. Now, hold on. You might be saying, Tim, that's expensive. No. It can fit 15 to 20 people. Everybody splits it up. It's a couple $100 a person to go out on the day on a yacht with jet skis, and they bring food and they cater for you, and there's a staff. So when you get a party of 10 or 15 people and everyone splits it, it's like $300 a person. So again, $300 ain't nothing, but we're talking about a vacation and what your budget is for it. You get your buddies together.
Just sell the red cups for, really high prices.
There you go.
$10 a cup.
That's right.
It's a lot of fun. They have they had those little things you hold where you go in the water and then you press the button and it pulls.
Scuba
It's a little,
things?
a little jet.
Oh, the jet engines, yeah.
And
Yeah, those are fun. You're swimming around.
they had a bunch of other stuff like the little floaty pool that you could put behind the boat.
Oh,
and
that's
sit on
right.
There. You can jump
Oh,
on there.
the flat,
And then didn't-
flat things.
Yeah. It's like you could,
Who was it? Was it Alex who jumped off the back against the wishes of the crew?
sounds about right. It's something Alex would do.
I imagine it was Alex Stein because
Yeah.
I can't imagine who else it would have been.
I didn't jump off. I was
So they also have an inflated ring with a net that
Yeah.
they pull behind the boat, and you're in a little pool Like it's amazing.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and if you get a big enough party, I think they said 15 people is like the max or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're like, it's going to be like $300-400 a person for this day trip. I know that's not cheap either. I'm just saying it's like it's not $50,000. It's not what people think it is.
Now, I got to look into that because I'm going down late April to Miami for another content creator's birthday, and that is I'm definitely going to get that info because
But that's a 70-footer. Right, because you can get like a catamaran for much cheaper.
Yeah, no, I don't need something that big, but that would sounds like a one. Like even with our group of people, that's more than affordable.
And then like you see these people partying on all these boats, and you're like, these aren't millionaires. These are like middle class people. You pitch your money together. You know what I mean? That's how you do it. Although it's hard to wrangle cats sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting everybody to be like, put your card in or whatever you got to do. Everyone's got to pitch in.
Don't be the guy that says, I'll pay it and you could Venmo me.
PayPal me. I'll Venmo you tomorrow.
I got about 3 people I trust that much.
Yeah. Chaotic says, congrats on being a dad, Tim. Literally 4 hours ago, I found out my girlfriend is pregnant. Congratulations.
Hey,
Congrats.
Oh, yeah. Make many babies. It is very based. Don't wait. Matthew Perry says, day 4 of no bourbon in Canada. I'm struggling. Why did our government ban it?
No, look, they had the bourbon. They decided to throw it out.
I know, they already owned it.
They already bought it.
It is Canada's government or maybe the booze sellers, the retailers that have decided to do this. It's not America's fault.
Canadian whiskey sucks, though.
I used to like Crown Royal, but point being, they had the booze. They decided to throw the booze out because they're stomping their feet. It is not America's fault that there is no bourbon in Canada right now.
Canada's making
Zorn TPGL says, Tim, Texan plumber here, father of 3, business owner, working late and listening to you throw shade at us. We may be quiet, but we're paying attention to the news. I never threw shade at plumbers who pay attention to the news. I threw shade at people who did not pay attention to the news. That was the point. It is, and the plumber I meant was like, if you're a regular working class Joe, you don't listen to news shows, but you get fervently emotional about the news, that's a problem. You, good sir, appear to be a business owner and plumber who is actively listening to the news to be informed. That's not at all what I was concerned about. So the issue I take is people who don't actively pay attention but get super heated. If all you did was listen to some liberal podcaster, but you were kind of chill, if all you did was listen to Timcast IRL, but you were kind of chill, I got no beef. My beef is the people who are going around waving signs, bashing their face on the table, who don't actually listen to the news. That was my point. They're dangerous. Largely Democrat. Edward Lenovo. Actually, Tim, the federal government can and routinely stops people within 50 of the border, 50 miles, including coastlines, to ask for proof of citizenship. Indeed, it happened to me once. But they didn't ask for citizenship. I was on a bus from San Diego to L.A., and we got stopped randomly. And then immigration officers came on, and a guy walked up to me, and he goes like, you have ID? And I was like, yeah. And I pulled out my ID, and I handed him. He looks at it, and he goes, where are you from? And I was like, Chicago. What are you doing out here? He was very fast. And I was like, I drove down to San Diego, but I'm going to stay in Los Angeles. He goes, what's your favorite baseball team? Real quick. And I went, am I supposed to say the Cubs, I guess? I mean, I don't know. Cubs is what everybody says, but I was on the South Side, so I guess a Sox fan. But I got to be honest, I'm a skateboarder. I don't pay attention to baseball. And he goes, okay, have fun, kid.
Nope.
And so the reason they asked the rapid question, real quick, what's your favorite baseball team, is because people who rehearse their answers and practice their pitch or whatever wouldn't have an answer. Mm-hmm. And so that's how they play it. Israel is famous for this.
Oh, yeah.
When a lot of countries do their security screenings, it's like, what are you coming in for? You look at the passport and you're like, tourism. And they go, okay. Israel asks you weird questions.
Well, that's where we get the word. The word shibboleth is like literally what that is. Like in World War II, I forget what it was, but they'd say something like the name of like a particular team, and if you didn't say the team back, then they'd pop you right there. So shibboleth, it's a Yiddish or Hebrew word in this case. Shibboleth.
That's aggressive immigration.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I got rejected the one time I went to Israel. I had to go back, get a new passport, and come back.
What? Why?
Because in the prior 2 months before that, I had been in and out of Yemen 7 times.
Yep.
Oops.
They were like, "You're going to need a new one."
They, I think I went when I was with Vice, and they had me get a dupe. They call it a dupe.
Yeah.
Duplicate passport. But because we were concerned that, like, I had been to Egypt, Morocco, and a bunch of other places, and they were like, Israel's not going to care because of who, like they're aware of who I am and who I worked for. No. The issue was if I got an Israeli stamp in the passport, you can't go back to these other countries.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
However, when I went, they didn't care at all. They gave me they didn't put a stamp in the passport. They put a piece of paper, like a security tag, in the passport and said, hold on to it until you leave. And but when they suspect people of being like, ne'er-do-wells, they're famous for just asking weird questions to see if you break character or if you're having a problem, or if you just go, excuse me? And they'll be like, I said, which kind of corn you do prefer? And you're like, I'm not sure I've ever thought about that. And like, don't worry about it. Not that I've ever asked that question. I'm just saying, like,
That'd be a good one, though.
right, because
would
I'd
throw
be
people
like,
off.
I guess American sweet corn. Yeah. We use it for everything. Blue corn tortilla chips are pretty good, though, but I wouldn't know how to really answer that. And they'd be like, whatever.
See, that threw me off because you said corn. And anybody who's watching who has TikTok knows
That's right.
So knows that you can't use that word.
And that's
Degenerates.
what they're really screening for. And you're like, well, anything with an amputee. And they're like, aha! Degenerate out! All right, everybody, if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Word of mouth is the best way to help the show. We're heading over to that uncensored call-in show, which means go to rumble.com/TimCastIRL, and we are going to get uncensored and talk to you and answer your questions. You can follow me on X and Instagram at TimCast. The older millennial, would you like to shout anything out?
No, I mean, if you know me on social media and you're watching this, you probably either are a fan or you hate me, which is perfectly fine. But either way, whether you hate me or you're a fan, you should definitely subscribe to Timcast IRL, and you should definitely become a member on Rumble so you can actually see what we'll say afterwards.
Look at this guy. He's great. You're my favorite guest. Thanks for hanging out, man. We got Chuck. What's going on?
Hey guys, that was a lot of fun. You can follow me on X at Frank_TrueBlue. Join Rumble Premium. Check out the green room. It's a lot of fun. And let's get to the after show.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. New record dropped on January 31st. It is called Anti-Fragile. You can check it out on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, and Deezer. And don't forget, The Left Lane is for crime.
We will see you all in the uncensored call-in show at rumble.com/TimCastIRL in about 30 seconds. Thanks for hanging out. Rolling. So the Exo legs came in. They're currently charging, and it straps around your waist. It's got two motors on the sides. They strap to your thighs, and it's fun. They basically lift your legs up for you, and it really works. When you're walking, it pulls your leg up.
Oh, geez.
So it's got hyper mode, and I set it to max power, and it takes zero energy to walk. It's pretty amazing, but that's about it. I don't really notice much when running because lifting your leg up is such a minimal use of force for what is required to run. Like when you're climbing stairs, for instance, these things can't really do much to help. They can't pull you up. So all of your leg muscles, your calf, your hamstring, your quads, everything is bending and pushing. When you're walking forward, the arm lifting your leg up, easy to do. Mm-hmm. Very, straight up use of force. And then you go, oh, wow. And then you're walking and it feels like you're barely using any muscles. It's kind of crazy. If you're 80 years old, if you're hiking, this is what it's intended for. It's intended for people on long hikes. Oh. It's going to reduce the amount of energy required to go on long walks. So I don't know why any young person who's going on a hike would want to do that.
Have you seen Gen Z?
I guess. My point is you're trying to just walk. That's what you're doing. Yeah. If you don't want to walk, then don't.
Don't go on the hike.
But if you're old, if you're 70, this thing's probably epic. Yeah. Because you're just like, wow.
It makes sense that it would be good for like people that are like rehabilitating too, right?
Yeah.
You think?
I did the world's first exoskeleton kickflip.
Was it all
Well,
right?
it doesn't do anything. I'm assuming it's the world first. I'm sure someone wore an exoskeleton a long time ago.
But that's a claim. Put it out there. Put it out there and let them argue with you.
Motorized exoskeleton, I guess. Because I'm pretty sure a pro skateboarder wore an exoskeleton. I could be wrong, but I heard that Jaws, this is skateboarder Aaron Hamoki, I heard that he used a mechanical exoskeleton brace to ollie the Lions 25 stair. Yeah. Leon. I don't know if that's true. That's probably not true. But people were saying, so the mechanical exosuits have existed for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they get better and better. There's one you can buy. But I'm like, who cares about a mechanical suit? When you lift things, it puts the pressure on the suit, not your spine. Yeah. So it transfers the weight down to your heel where it's attached to your leg and goes to the ground instead. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. But I want a motorized one. I want to be able to lift like 500 pounds with one hand, you know?
You want the suit from Aliens.
From Iron Man.
The loader from Aliens.
No, I want an Iron Man suit.
Oh, well, yeah. Well,
it's got fingers.
There's an in-between what you wore earlier in Iron Man, which is like the one from Aliens.
You know what no one ever considered, too, is that Tony Stark's hand is always like this when he's grabbing things because the metal between his fingers would mean he can't go like that. That'd be so uncomfortable. Have you ever worn like double-layered, thick industrial gloves where you can't put your fingers together and your hands just stuck like this the whole time? That's basically what he's doing.
Like a hockey glove, you know. You kind of do it.
This is the Uncensored Show.
I mean, I imagine that's what you had to do when you or that's what they had to do when you were wearing like medieval suits of armor.
Yeah.
Something similar.
I guess.
They mesh though, right? Underneath? Well, no, probably.
No, they had to. The
whole thing.
They were underneath. They were like open, but they still had actual metal covers on the.
Yeah, there were metal grooves going in, keeping your hands.
Because it was very common to get a sword right on the fingers. You know?
Yeah. The other thing I would say is that the company, it's Hypershell, they advertise that it's AI driven. And that's an overstatement, in my opinion. I don't know what AI driven means. What they were saying was that it can anticipate your movement so quickly that it feels natural. It's not true.
No.
when you go to walk, it will lift your leg up. And then if you keep walking, it will walk. But if you try and stop walking and lift your leg and do anything else, it jerks and like. So I wouldn't call it super intelligent. I would say it's programmed to a certain degree to recognize that you're about to start walking. Yeah.
Because with AI, it'll automatically walk you to your shift at the Amazon distribution center. Like that's where it'll take you.
You know, I wonder how they can make it so that climbing stairs is easier. Because this doesn't do anything.
You don't feel anything when you were walking up the stairs at all?
No, because think about the mechanism. It's got two motors on your hips, one on each hip. When you're walking forward, the motor will pull your leg up, effectively using your left leg as an anchor as it lifts your right leg up. So that makes sense. That can alleviate muscle usage. But climbing stairs requires you to lift your leg up, plant it, and then press down to lift your whole body up. Mm-hmm. The motors don't have an anchor point to push. It can theoretically push down on your leg while secured to your back and provide some minor relief, but I don't notice anything.
You probably need a connection where it makes contact with the ground and makes contact with your lower back.
Right.
Where it can hinge you.
Yes.
That way.
Yeah.
I mean, so it'd have to be a lot more extended than it is.
I think it would have to make contact with the ground probably. And then, right, as you're saying. So right now what it does is it's got two arms on the front of your legs. So when you're walking up the stairs, it's pushing down on your leg, but pushing down on your leg doesn't do anything to lift your body up. I suppose it like pushes against your back. It probably does reduce some of the muscle load for going up the stairs, but I didn't notice shit.
It's kind of like when you press down on your leg, when you press down on your legs to get up, like out of a chair, you push on your legs to push up. But it's more here than it is actually helping.
What we'll do is I'll put it on after the show because I skated today. My legs are sore, and I've been sitting in this chair for 2 hours or 3 hours now. Mm-hmm. And so my legs are stiff and it sucks. I'll put them on and I'll see if it helps me walk. I doubt it's going to. Sure. Tried skating in them, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just didn't realize how much it was really helping.
Maybe.
No idea. Did anything disgusting happen in the news that we could talk to in an uncensored way, or are we just going to go to call it?
I don't know of anything that's disgusting that's happened today. I mean,
generally there is something, but I mean... it's...
Did like a gay guy waggle his dick at a spa again?
I'm sorry, what?
You know, like there was that protest. This happened last week. A guy went to a spa again and stripped down and was waggling his dick. And then they were like, he's trans. We can't do anything. And then like people were protesting. They got arrested eventually.
But that's like that Family Guy, the skit where he's like, you know, there's no watching porn at the bar. And he's like, oh, I'm transgender. Oh, please do whatever you want all the time.
Right. Do whatever you want all the time.
That's one of the better Family Guy jokes. Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, yeah.
Quagmire's dad becomes his mom.
Oh, and then
And then Brian dates her.
no, and then Quagmire's dad saves his penis in the freezer, and then when Quagmire loses his penis in a boating accident, his dad gifts him his.
Oh my God.
Hey, dude, I'm. If they want to make fun of all this shit, let them do it. I'm down.
100%. I did see recently where the founders of South Park said that they hate Family Guy, which was weird to me because I thought they would be okay with each other.
Why do they hate Family Guy?
They feel like it's what was the word they used? Something about like it's a low effort version.
Too lowbrow for them.
Too low. It's like lowbrow. Like they say they hit the low hanging fruit.
Bullshit. South Park was really good for a while, but they've been really dry and afraid. Like they had the Occupy Wall Street episode was like 7 years after Occupy Wall Street or some shit. I remember,
and they used to be right on the nose, like right after like some event, and then they just
the week like 4 days after Obama got elected, they released the Obama Boom Baby Diamond Heist episode.
That was a great episode.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
This
the
would be a
whole
great
election was a
timing.
Diamond Heist movie.
Yeah. And they're
They
all-
used to have funny shit like that.
Well, this
How'd
would be
they
great
do-
timing for another Blame Canada episode.
Oh,
right?
that'd be great if they did that. What was
have
the
tremendous
most recent one they had? The Prime one? Was that the recent movie? The South Park did the Prime thing where they're making fun of Prime. Was that
I gave
the most
up on
recent one?
South Park. Family Guy I see just because I see clips, but I probably haven't watched South Park in
Simpsons went woke.
a lot.
Yeah,
Oh,
so did Family Guy.
God.
Family Guy and McFarlane are so impossibly
Yeah.
woke. It's
Family Guy went woke.
Yeah,
I like it.
definitely.
I'm an American Dad guy myself.
Hey, Tim, David Hogg is tweeting at you.
What is he tweeting at me?
He tweeted, he said, where did it go?
What did he
Just
tweet?
had it. He tweeted something along the lines of, you were literally paid by the Russians. Delete your account.
Over what the Democrats screaming in the because
Yeah.
it went viral.
It was the they will, or no, it was the they don't clap for anything except for Ukraine.
Should I sue him because that's false?
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
I mean, yeah.
It is not true. I was never paid by the Russians.
I get told I am. I get told I'm a Russian puppet. I'm Vladimir Putin's, bitch and stuff like that's what I get told.
Well, at least I'm going viral. Attention is currency. That's what the Paul brothers say.
This
Jake,
is it.
Jake
It's-
Paul, Logan Paul. They inspire me every day to make my show better.
It's in the IRL chat.
I don't care about David Hogg. That guy's a fucking idiot.
I love that the whole vice chair thing really cracked me up because the DNC had all these black people performing on stage saying that they wanted to be the vice chair or the chair, and they didn't choose any of them. They were like, we're going with two white dudes. And then the vice chair was a guy whose foundation just failed because in under a year he managed to spend all of the money on travel. And I was like, that's who you're putting in charge? Love it. Love it.
I'll say one thing. As it pertains to that indictment that I got issued over Tenet, probably shouldn't say it, but SDNY is getting the boot right now. So I have no idea what the fuck is going on with that case against Tenet Media.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It was.
Oh, they were the ones bringing the case?
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course they were.
Ruh-roh.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, of course it would be. It would be.
There also is some shady shit that I can't talk about that it implicates the feds.
Ooh.
Yeah. Probably shouldn't say anything because, but considering Trump's in office, I'm kind of like, I don't really give a shit anymore. Like, if Kamala won, we'd all be in prison. You just make shit up. They'd be like, you cooked a pie on Wednesday, and that's illegal because
We don't like you.
It's terrorism?
We don't like your face.
This is terrorism.
We're going to go to callers. Let's start with Seabass. Seabass, you are
Seabass?
here.
What's up, Seabass?
Gentlemen, good evening. Good evening. Tim, first of all, congratulations on the little bundle.
Thank you.
May she bring you joy and pride for the rest of your life.
Indeed. Thank you.
Excellent. I have a quick two-part question for you guys. This is for the panel. Pam Bondi has been in for a short time, so I have two short questions. Has she done enough or not enough for you? How much time are you willing to afford her for getting the job done, and what does that look like for each of you?
I don't know what reasonable amount of time would be on a case like this. So everyone's like, release the Epstein files now, and I'm like, what if it compromises an investigation into a billionaire pedophile? Would you be happy that you did that? It's not easy. I don't have easy answers here.
And you also don't know what she's doing. Like, just because things are publicized just because you don't hear anything in the news doesn't mean things aren't happening. You don't know what where she's directing the resources or the DOJ to investigate, et cetera. You might end up not hearing anything from Pam Bondi for 6 months or a year, but then a big case comes out and it's like all these things that would make every MAGA all happy. So I don't think that you can judge what she is or isn't doing based on what gets reported in the news. Personally.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I think we have to let this play out a little bit. It'd be nice. They said they were going to drop all the files that day, and it didn't happen.
No, to your point, like, honestly, I think it's probably a good idea for them to stay away from the press until they have.
I would agree until there's something there, because then you're sitting there like, oh, it's happening, and then it ends up being kind of a nothing burger. So I'm on the side of just let it play out, let them see how it goes. Like, let it run its course, and then when things eventually do come out, then you'll have your substance, and then you'll be like, hey, or boo,
Yeah, I'm kind of of that mind where I'm willing to give her a little bit of leeway. I'm willing to give her some time because, like, and the thing is, when I hear liberals talk about it and go, why did she release the files? And I said, well, you didn't have it. You didn't have that question for 4 years under Biden. You didn't care. But now 47 days is way too long to wait. Yeah. So I recognize that stuff takes time. Getting the information takes time. Cash has been in the position for what, 12 days?
Yeah.
14 days?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real about this. If it doesn't get released under this administration, I will definitely have a problem.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well then, anything you want to add?
I don't disagree with you guys. I think the point that I was trying to make, not specifically the Epstein files per se, that's obviously the first thing that we've seen her push, and that's good. Was it too early? Maybe. Did she get on the news a little too early with Jesse Waters and stuff? Yeah, I think so. And that obviously led to a kind of a debacle as far as the media and stuff. My concern is some of the stuff she's done when she was AG in Florida regarding the 2A stuff. So I have some concerns about her. I'm more than willing to give her the time that she needs. But I just, thought I'd get some perspective from you guys as far as, what you thought overall. When would be too late for her to really get a lot of this stuff done? Is it the end of the administration or is it sooner? So
no idea. Depends on what this stuff is and what she's doing. If she comes out next month and she's like, I arrested 100 pedophiles, I'll be like, let's go. If she comes out next month and she's like, I've done literally nothing, I'd be like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you guys. That's all I had. You guys have a great evening. I'm Seabass on X. Sebastian Kupiak, my full name, but Seabass as the head thing. And that's it. You guys have a good evening, and I'll talk to you later.
Right on. Thanks for calling in.
See you, Seabass.
And for everybody watching, if you want to get in our Discord community, where you can hang out with over 20,000 individuals, argue, and even call into the show, timcast.com, click join us, get in the Discord, be a member, because we got a bunch of awesome stuff in the chat. People have launched their own podcasts through the Discord community. People have made their own video games. It's very cool stuff. Next up, we got, what does it say? Osmodeus, you are here.
Test 1 2.
Yep.
Ooh.
Hi.
Hey guys. So a bit of a question that I posted about 2 weeks ago in the call-in show. So I'm getting a little bit concerned that Doge and Trump and the Trump administration are exaggerating and in some cases blatantly lying to the American people about how much money they're saving. I've been following a few channels which admittedly are left-wing, but the sources they post seem to be pretty solid, showing that they've misreported a lot of the savings they've made on Doge. In one instance, there was an $8 billion saving that it was $8 million they mistakenly labeled as $8 billion. And they're also firing some agencies in the government which are actually helping to reduce costs, like it was 18F office in the GSA, which basically provided consulting services to Fed, state, and local agencies at lower prices than private counterparts. And
So
they're basically helping them save money.
the first conundrum I have is if what was the left-wing source, or what was the source for the claim that the $8 billion was actually $8 million?
Let me see if I can find it. I've been bookmarking a lot of these threads. Momentum Chaser, he's been following in the Doge for a long time, but he's posted several sources, and I believe Doge actually got community noted. This is back in February 19th.
I see. I have it on the New York Times. They say Doge recently listed $8 billion, but it was actually $8 million. DNG Support Services, a program, technical support services. Yeah. What does it say? So DNG Services, 8 million, not 8 billion. And they listed as 8 billion. So looks like they have an accounting error. Heavens me. Okay.
Well,
did they fix it?
Well, there's also other instances where they're not reporting the actual savings from contracts that have either already been fully completed or on the verge of being completed, and they're reporting the full contract as being paid for. Or even if they're canceling the contract, the federal government is still obligated to pay that amount out. And I believe $2 billion that Doge claimed to save was frozen by a judge because they were it was for work that they already completed.
Right. I talked quite a bit about that earlier in the morning. If I say, if Chuck has got Phil's money, and then I say, hey, I'm going to do work for that money. I'm going to lift this can of Spindrift.
Oh, you got it.
Now give me the money. And then Phil goes, whoa, fuck that. He didn't do any work. And then I go, hey, I already did the work. You owe me the money. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they should suspend that payment. They should say, no, we're not paying that. And so I think the issue at hand here is Trump's view of the USAID payments for quote-unquote work completed. Nobody in their right fucking mind thinks gender studies in Pakistan is work. And Trump says, I ain't paying that shit. And so a judge is like, not that he's ordered to pay it. They froze Trump's freeze on the payment, meaning the payment has to continue as scheduled. There was a hearing today, and now Trump has to pay a certain amount by Monday. So it's all basically nuts. But, yeah, Trump suspending that pay is the right thing. You know, I don't like if they're getting numbers wrong, but I'm not following the principal Doge tracker. I'm more concerned with them just cutting down and firing people. I don't really care necessarily what the total amount saved so far is. That's like third or fourth, back burner.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is I'm so much less concerned with the number and so more concerned with the fact it's actually happening.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. If they go in and they're like, hey, we saved 20 billion or we saved 2 billion, that's 2 billion that wasn't going to get saved.
Yep. Right.
So to me, it's more about the action, more about the effort. Like this is one of those things where I'm like, your effort matters. The energy you put into it matters.
And by the way that Democrats are freaking out about it, when they come and they're like, so Trump, he wants to fire 45,000 out of 90,000 IRS agents. He wants to shut down USAID. They're firing CIA agents. They're shutting down, they're selling these buildings because they were empty. But they misreported a number. Do you regret voting for him now? And I'm like, oh, did they fix it? Well, I hope they fix it because I don't like that they misreport. That's a full order of magnitude right there. I'm going to go ahead and say I hope they continue.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm not. It's way too early to start worrying, in my opinion. Right? Like, so there are going to be hiccups. There are going to be things that are going to be a little messy. There are going to be things that are going to be mistakes. But remember, Trump is doing more than any other president in history has done.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm sorry, I got to say this too. What worries me on a lot of these issues is that look at what Jimmy Kimmel just did with transgender mice, transgenic mice. So what I'm concerned about with this is, because I've not done the research into this New York Times article, they say, here's a contract for DNG services for $8 million. But Elon said DNG service had an $8 billion contract. Okay. Are there other contracts the New York Times is not showing?
Possibly.
Is it possible that this is just one of the contracts to DNG services for $8 million, and it doesn't account for any of the other contracts that went to DNG? And the New York Times simply found a contract for $8 million and then assumed that they had a typo in the $8 billion and Elon was wrong? Or is it possible that Elon and Doge actually did find a total of $8 billion in contracts to DNG, and the New York Times only found one of them? One small contract. Honestly, I have no idea. but I don't trust them. Don't trust them. But I would still err on the side of I'd investigate it, and I would, if I ever saw Elon, I'd say, what was this about? Did you guys get the number wrong, or was there more here that we didn't see? This should be corrected, and that's okay. Putting the wrong number down, whatever. I don't give a shit.
As an accountant, that kind of drives me wild a little bit because you got to cross-reference a little bit. But I understand things like that happen, if it did happen at all.
Yeah, I think it's good to make sure we're keeping them on their toes.
Yep.
We don't want to just sit back and say, do whatever you want. But to be honest, I'm not actually tracking the total Doge savings.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about 45,000 IRS agents getting fired.
Mm.
I'm like, we will get money saved from that. I honestly don't care what the number is, right?
Yeah.
I mean the minutia of it. I'm hoping that all these firings reduce the size of government, reduce the bloat, reduce the bureaucracy, reduce the cycle of government funds to Democrat pockets and the establishment politicians. But largely, it's dismantling the bureaucratic state first and foremost. We'll figure out the money after the fact.
That's why I love it when they're like, what Donald Trump is doing is destroying the federal government. I was like, stop talking dirty to me. For the love of God, I already voted for him. Damn.
Yeah.
When we reported West Virginia banning artificial dyes in foods, and on my tweet, one of the top posts was, "How erect is RFK Jr. right now?"
He can only get so hard.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, if someone asked me what kind of corn I liked, I'd be like, I just read the New York Times and they talk about Doge firing people. I take the New York Times Doge section into the bathroom.
Just wait. Just wait. Those sites will come out with news sections for people. So in between, you can read.
Yeah. In between.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you want anything or shout anything out?
Yeah, just one final comment. And do you think that there's potential for this to hurt us in the midterms with independents if the purported changes
Not a
don't
chance.
work and the tariffs actually blow back on us?
Nope. It's all narrative. And the narrative is broken. Alan Lichtman had this video where he's like, the latest poll shows Trump down 7 points with 44, the lowest of any post-wartime or non-wartime president. People are regretting it. And then it's like, when you look at the aggregate polling, -7, +5, -2, +8. The polls are fucked. The narrative machine is broken. No one has any idea what's going on anymore. So fuck it. Let's roll. We just need to make sure that we're winning the narrative war.
Mm-hmm.
No, and the thing is I think we've gotten enough evidence that polls can be completely full of shit. But then you also have polls after his State of the Union speech where huge amounts of people said we're on the right direction and he's taking us on the right direction. They approve of it. So it's like it's your sourcing of the poll.
Yeah.
Your sourcing of the poll will tell you Trump is hated or Trump is loved.
Can't use 538 anymore.
They're gone.
Yep, they're gone.
They're shutting down.
See ya.
Really?
Yeah, they're firing everybody.
They fired everybody.
Damn.
It's still there for now, but I think in a week it'll be gone.
Yeah, they're working on layoffs right now.
Did you want to shout anything out, good sir?
I'm good. Appreciate it.
Right on, man. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Cocky Butter. What is up?
Howdy.
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 Yo.
All right, so I've got some bad news for Phil.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Doge has announced that USAID was driving in the left lane.
Bruh.
Indeed they were.
So with so much winning going on with Trump, I find it hard to believe that he hasn't seen the possibility to turn the narrative of the very fine people hoax on its head by taking it back into his own marketing campaign and in response to the events of Wednesday. What would you see as the reaction to Donald Trump giving a commentary on the joint address to Congress by saying, listen, there were very fine people on both sides that night. And I'm not talking about Al Green, who should totally be censured. Are there any other moments that you could think of that he could do that with, turn these tides on?
He should totally do it.
That is perfect.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
I just find it amusing when you see all of the left's narrative and all the times they attack him, just like with his hot mic comment. He can take these opportunities. Donald Trump is a marketing genius and actually say something and turn it around 100%, just like what he did with fake news.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of what he is like. That's his brand. Like, even if he doesn't actually take a clip of it, he'll tweet about it or whatever, and he'll use things that the Democrats say against them, frequently. I think,
He's really good at it. He's very good at just spinning, and not so much spinning, but just really twisting it and turning it on them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a master of the reply.
Yeah.
And that's what, the way he won the reply in the beginning was the Hillary Clinton, you'd be in jail thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is his most famous reply.
Yeah.
And it's,
Oh, this one is the best. Is when Joe Biden said we beat Medicare, and he goes, "Yeah, you beat it. You beat death." That's so good.
And then the golf, when they were arguing over their golf strokes back and forth.
Oh yeah, he nearly fell off the stage.
He's like, "You're not a
no, to me,
five
the best that
handicap."
night was, I don't even know what he said at the end there.
I want to arm as many people with this information that I can, just as an aside. Do you guys know why Trump wanted to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America?
Why?
So I've heard oil is the oil. I don't know if that's the true thing, though, because I can't find any legal basis. It is because
the Gulf of Mexico as a name is geographically incorrect. This is the American continent. It has one Gulf. The American continent has a Gulf. It is the Gulf of America. Naming it the Gulf of Mexico makes no sense, as Mexico doesn't even have the majority of surface area. It is. You can argue total coastline Mexico, and you can argue total controlled territory United States. Gulf of America. Someone asked me, "That's so stupid. It's Mexico. Mexico's right there." And I said, "Well, technically, the United States has more territorial control over the Gulf than Mexico does, but that's not even the point. This is the North American continent. There's North and South America. South Americans are Americans. Go and ask them. I've been to Venezuela. I've been to Brazil. And in both places, they say, we're Americans. Why do people from the United States call themselves the Americans? And that's actually a question that people ask. So I say the Gulf of America is because this is the American continent, and America has a Gulf. Next question. So if anyone ever says it to you, be like, that's why. Why? What do you mean?
Yeah, because I live on the Gulf. I literally live right on that Gulf. And it makes sense, like you're saying, as far as the continent is the Gulf of our continent, which is America.
Calling it Gulf of Mexico is giving undue influence to one country in America. There's Cuba. Why isn't the Gulf of Cuba? Cuba's right there too.
Gulf of the Bahamas.
Uh-huh. Yeah, all of these different, territories, the Yucatan, whatever. No, it's because it's the American continent. Thank you. Have a nice day. Anyway, Hockey Butter, I went on a rant. Did you want to add anything?
No, nothing to that. I just want to do a couple shout outs.
Get them.
We got time. So I know the expectation is I should be shouting out my own show, but since you've been doing that for me lately, I figured I'd give some love to some other people in the Discord.
Get it.
I want to first go with Nightcap with Joey Cannoli. He started his show in the Discord about the same time I started doing the pre-show, and he's taking it to Rumble. Check him out, Outworld Live. And then, of course, a newcomer to the Discord, Tyler Today News. Both great shows, and they both had a different spin on culture.
Right on. Epic. Cool, man. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right. And I will just add, we're setting up Cast Brew coffee franchises. We have, I think now, we probably have around 200 location requests. I don't know for sure.
A lot.
That's a lot. And they're going to get going. Andrew Gruel is running it. The base and epic Andrew Gruel is basically in charge of this. It's epic. So the reason we want to do this is I'm not going to own 1,000 coffee franchises. We are going to help people set up their own franchises, do supply and franchising and brand marketing. What can we do to help grow networking and community spaces? We're a show. We have marketing capability. So hopefully we can provide substantial marketing capability to people who want to own their own businesses and create physical spaces where people can come and hang out. How epic would it be, though, if we were doing the Culture War live from different Casper locations owned by individuals? That'd be epic.
That'd be cool.
And then the Discord server is the digital version of this. If all you do is watch the news, that's great, but you're passive. If you join the Discord server and you're actively chatting with people, you're actively involved in the political process at like the basic level. And that's step one. So with that being said, let's pull in Roma Nation, who got involved, launched a show. What is up?
Hey.
What up, man?
Hey, Roma.
What up? What up? What's going on,
Roma?
guys? Founder of Roma Nation Network on X, host of Roma Nation with Scrapjaw. Tim, how is fatherhood treating you?
It's epic. Allison is very tired. And so the issue is she wakes up every 2 hours. The baby cries. The baby cries for no reason. And sometimes she's got to hold the baby. And then I'm doing a morning show and a nightly show. And then we've got other production stuff going on. So it's like, I told her, I was like, I'll trade. Allison, if you want to go, you do the show. I'll hang out with the baby and stay home and sleep sporadically or whatever. But we can't do that. I am the man with the host of the show. You are the woman with you feed the baby. I mean, let's just be real. So, but that's why I've been trying to. People were like, "Why is Tim cutting the Uncensored short?" I'm like, "We started the Green Room show to come up to fill in for that. I'm trying to go see my child as much as I can."
I've been on with Roma. He's an awesome host.
He's fantastic.
Also got a
Roma's
great voice.
Oh, it's great.
Listen, God, yeah.
It's like butter. It's like butter.
Oh, guys, stop it. No, I'm just kidding. But,
it's true.
But yeah, Joe, I definitely want to thank you for jumping on the COVID episode. You had a lot of good questions for Dr. DJ Speaker, and it's been able to give him a lot of confidence to do other venues. So I definitely thank you for that.
It was my pleasure to be there.
Absolutely. My question for you guys is, what do you think changed Gavin Newsom's heart in women's sports when asked by Charlie Kirk?
His polling numbers.
Yeah, he wants to be president in 2028, so he's trying to distance himself from that wide left.
Like we were saying, it's an 80-20 issue, right? Like the American people generally do not believe that men can become women and women can become men because they can't. And also because of all the things that go along with it. Women should have private spaces that are independent from men. Women shouldn't be going into men's room, right? That's bad. It can be bad for the women that go into men's rooms, the trans men, but it's really bad for men to go into women's spaces. Women should not have to play against men in sports. This is one of the most obvious political positions that's out there. You're not going against, something that's a new development. Like, you're literally trying to change all of human history, and you're trying to do it in basically what amount to a handful of years, and people are just rejecting it outright. And the Democrats, specifically Gavin Newsom and a lot of other Democrats, are acknowledging, look, this isn't going to fly. Maybe we can go ahead and say we'll accept trans people in society, maybe, but you're definitely not going to get, oh, they're actually women and they're actually men. No one's buying it. And another thing is, everybody kind of knows that the next thing that's after that, like once you say, well, actually, maybe they are women, suck the dick, bigot.
No, the next thing after that is animals. Did you hear about that woman who was banging that dog and got arrested?
Oh, God.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so cops went to her house because...
What was the dog wearing?
I got to be honest. Let me pull this story up for you guys.
Sorry. But I did just want to say, Gavin Newsom doing that, it's low risk.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: no matter how in the middle Gavin gets, right? JoJo from Jurors and Brooklyn Dad Defiant, they're not voting for Vance next election, so he can go to the middle.
Here's the story. I chose not to cover it. Woman's shocking admission to cops after being arrested for sex with her Great Dane.
Oh, a Great Dane.
They posted that picture, and I'm like,
how happy the dog is.
That dog ain't mad.
The dog is so happy.
Yup. Yo, this lady was posting dude, it's nuts.
Wait,
man.
she was posting it on the internet?
She was posting on porn websites. And then the cops went to her house and they saw everything, and they were like, yo, lady, you're banging your dog. And she's like, yes. And she's like, is that illegal? And they're like, it is.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Oh, wait. There was another dog
a
in there.
that looked
was there was there a 3 that you was like, like what the dog doing?
It just gets worse.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, look,
it just gets worse.
Dog, it is not an upset dog. You know what I'm saying?
But what did the border collie do?
The other dog keeps.
No, the border collie is some other lady who's banging dogs.
So there's 2.
Oh my Lord.
Oh boy.
Wait. Oh, it's a different dog.
I hate this.
Wait, same lady, different dog?
Yeah, I guess.
He doesn't discriminate against
Dude, I'm
telling
what I was about to say.
This is what's after the trans thing. The next thing is going to be animals.
Bestiality.
See, my worry,
like they're already talking about kids.
Thing. That's
well, they already are.
Yeah, that's true.
They're trying to get the animal stuff. LGBTZ.
Like that's my worry is that once they say children can consent to these surgeries, now they can play on what children can consent to.
Oh yeah.
Well, remember when Cenk said that, like, if you were banging an animal, it was fine?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Cenk Uygur had a whole thing where he talked about how Cenk Uygur supports banging animals.
Well, I'll add that to the list of things.
If you're not hurting anybody.
And then Anna was like, no way, dude. And this was like 13 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even then, it was too far for Anna.
Yeah. And then people started calling him they started posting horse memes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a
Anyway, Roman, did you want to add anything? Because we totally derailed into bestiality.
Yeah, this completely went off the rails. But okay. No, I guess the only thing I was going to say is this is a ploy for the Democratic Party to appear more centrist all of a sudden.
Right.
You know, like the Democratic response after the presidential address with Alyssa Slutkin, because that's what I mean, you could tell that she was trying to play both sides because she's in a state, the state of Michigan, where that's probably one of the hardest states to win. So I completely understand what they're doing. But anyways, I know Tim, you got a baby you got to go back to. I want to thank you from the Roman Nation family, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being receptive and having us on your show.
Absolutely.
This wouldn't be possible without your Discord and the tools there to make us successful. You can find us on riseofmiddleamerica.com. You can join. We got a Discord. We've got merch at the bottom of the page. We have new caption this merch. You guys should check it out. So thank you, Tim, Joe, Phil, Chuck, Serge. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for FAFO Friday and Saturday night.
Thanks for calling
Roman
in.
Nation, RFK Uncensored.
Right on.
See you, Roma.
So in the Discord, there's pre-shows, there's after shows, there's like shows in the Discord. It's very cool. We got to get Sinoski on Quiet Part Podcast on a Friday night. We'll get him on Timcast IRL, brother. But until then, tomorrow we have Dr. Robert Malone in the Culture War, and we're having conversations about, are we going to get banned? We might get banned. We're going to do it anyway, and we're going to just try and be very careful and see what we can talk about. We're going to talk about Maha and getting healthy and banning food dyes, and it's going to be a great conversation. So, older millennial sir, thanks for hanging out.
It was an absolute pleasure to be here.
Right on. And for everybody else, I am going to go home and hang out with my wife and daughter. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning on the Culture War.